Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Upgrade your membership to Gold. You will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nutwash Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Res Mall make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Ken, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97 home. That is way. Here comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado Custodian, Billy Friedrich, Joe's one all coming down to the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
From the corporate Peter Low Shack, legendary sports handicapper, more dapper than a dawn. Father young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, we all PSR Pub Sports Radio is all. Is a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this but they quit the trip. But we say we be pubbing, betting with the bag and you love it. We want it top 10, we above it. Legend.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low bagger? Shout out to our guy Jay Peasy delivering the goods, man. What a fire intro from our guy, Mr. Peasy. Nice to be back in business with you guys. We have an absolute monster card today. Monster card. So we're flipping the switch up a little bit. We're starting with college basketball. We have almost all every game up until 5 p.m. we're going to cap right off the hop here with Bobano, because we're going to leave this game that just popped off, the James Madison spot. We're going to leave that alone. But we got 2 games at 12, 1 at 1, 1, 2:30, 2 at 2:30, 1 at 3:30, 5, 7, 9:30, 10. We got just a massive day of gambling that leads us into our live stream for the Thursday nighter. We got a big NHL card, 1 game of college football. We're going to hammer these early games of Bobano. We do have a couple night games we're going to talk to him with Syracuse, Texas, Virginia, Tennessee, and Oregon State. And then once we get through NHL, NFL, NCAA football, Daby Cab is going to join us. Daby Cab's going to rock with us here for a couple NCAA games. He's focusing on Baylor, St. John's, Memphis, San Francisco. Then we get an NBA where we're being running nice. So we are ready to attack and attack and attack. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got Morgan Spooner in the house, his NCAA basketball card in business that's going to help. Thank you for sharing that, Morgan. We're watching you crush college hoops. Speaking of crushing college hoops, Bobano went 7-2 on our show in college hoops last Thursday. So we need to keep that going. We need to keep that winning going, because we're not delivering in NHL. As nice as it is to see the college hoops rolling, we have to deliver, across the board. And I had been crushing until the start of this week. Start of this week hasn't gone so well, but on like about a 5-week run here, and a little disappointed that it hasn't continued into this week. So today's actually a really important day. Morgan Spooner, Justin McKelvey, Nordy in the house says, what up, crazy snowstorm here. He's an evil Edmonton. He says, stuck in traffic. At least I have betting with the bag to make this easier. Much love, Nordy. Drive safe, my man. I hope you get through the snowstorm. Serious business in the house. We got Ron Crawford, NHL play today. Boston Bruins -1. I've started to get cold feet with this. Just back every team after they fire a coach. We've seen it in NFL, and I know NFL is a little different, but it's not always a situation where, I don't think the timing's always right here. And I don't think the timing necessarily is right here with Montgomery being fired. I've kind of backed away from my belief that you just blindly back all these teams that are dealing with injuries, with the new coaches. NHL play day, Boston -1, Toronto Raptors +7.5, and then on Saturday, UCLA +4.5, and then the 49ers +2 for Ron Crawford. Says back to work. Good luck. Thank you, Ron. We'll go over all of that. Gerald Jones in the house, Philly Eagle Flyer, Textiles, Austin Jackson, Nate Dogg 420, Kong's Clips, Kong's Smash Play of the Week is Zhang Ming Yang and Carlos Yolberg -127. Don't forget our big, huge fight stream pops off at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. That's when it pops off on Saturday, or I guess that would be Sunday morning. Kenny Can in the house, right? That's Sunday morning. That's not. Am I tripping? No, that's Saturday morning at 3 a.m. Saturday morning at 3 a.m. Tripping. Kenny Can in the house. Crystal Craig ready to get to work. There is Markel says, please be on the Panthers. I'm feeling leopardy. Yes, I'm on the Florida Panthers on the puck line at +110. Like the spot very much. Sean Pulliam in the house, and Slatsy's on the Bruins -1 and -104. I think Bruins show up for Joe Sacco's first game as coach. I need to sit with it and cap it with you guys. Wild money line at +141. I'm with them too. God, I got a worse line than that. Is it going? Yeah, it's moving away from me. Damn. God, I feel like it's a great spot. I thought I was going to beat the line move getting in on it early. That doesn't seem to be the case. And then Panthers, Rangers, money line parlay +136. Crystal Craig's favorite play, Carolina Hurricanes, team total over 3. Let's get that copied and pasted again. NHL is going to start about an hour later than usual today. So for you NHL fans, I know that it's we have a great history starting NHL right off the hop, but we have this college basketball that we need to attack right off the hop. It's early Saturday morning. Thank you, Kong. My dude says you're not following Kong's plays in UFC. What are you doing, my dude? Says our guy, my dude. There's the truth teller in the house. Great to see you, truth teller. Old E9 Legacy in the house. Avalanche -1.5. Bruins -1.5. Raptors on the spread. Utah Jazz on the spread. Texas Tech on the spread. Oregon State on the spread. And Texas Longhorns on the spread for our guy 9 Legacy. Let me copy and paste that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let me get that locked in. Kelly McInnes in the house, ready to get to work. Kenny Can is on Pitt Cleveland, both to score a field goal in each half at plus 500. Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Truth Tellers has got Russell Wilson passing touchdown mixed with the money line at -105. Says easy peasy. It's a very interesting situation with all the sharps on the Browns. Now, Troy's on the Steelers, but very hard to find. He's on the Steelers money line. Very hard to find people backing the Steelers unless you're in like pools. Like my Yahoo, I'm in a pool. 85% of the public on the Steelers, but in our community, it just don't see much of that. Slat said, "Did you hear Charlie McAvoy interview yesterday? His Bruins will come to play versus Utah team losers of 5 of 7." I did not hear Charlie McAvoy's interview, and I'd like to know more about it. Honestly. Kong, I was not on Marcus McGee. I hate saying that I was not on Marcus McGee. I was just too caught up. Man. I did not make any UFC bets other than the squarest parlay in the world, the Jake Paul, John Jones parlay, and I had $300 on that, which is more than I usually bet on UFC. But I should have joined you. Kevin Guy says, you wouldn't believe. Remember last week when I thought I needed the Lions as a high scoring game? Well, it turned out I actually needed just the Lions high scoring team. Oh, perfect. Well, that was beautiful. Said sweat the Chargers game for nothing. Okay, that's awesome. Wow, I love it, Kong. I love hearing you getting that cash. Truth Teller says it's an 8-0 team versus 2-8 team. It's not rocket science. I believe that similar thought process cost you money on the Chiefs this past week. Truth Teller. Okay, let's get to work here. Philly Eagle Flyer says Browns first half team total under 7.5 and full game under 17.5. Let's keep rolling here. Get this in. But I look forward to seeing if it is that easy with you on our live stream tonight, Truth Teller, my friend. And Justin McKelvey did tail it. I should have tailed it. It's my bad. Barry Roselle bought the Steelers line down to 3. I used his no sweat bet on it today. That's copied and pasted here. All right, it is time to get to work. We have a very, very big college basketball card, and we got to move very quickly. We only have Bobano till 1 p.m. Eastern, so we have him for an hour and 50 minutes. Oh, Paul Thompson, I wish I could just head up to Woodbine tonight and focus just on that. But there's just so much action, Paul. We're going to be so heavily involved in all of this, so I'm not going to be able to. But I'd love to know if you are on anything. Philly Eagle Fly looking at that first half game total under 17.5. Let's get that locked and loaded. Sancho in the house. Great to see you. We got a huge card ahead of us. So let's get everything set up here as we have our guest star ready to rock and roll. We have heavy college basketball action. It's going to fill our day up. So when we meet up tonight for the big Steelers Browns live stream, some of us are going to be way up, and I hope I'm one of those guys. And our guest is coming off going 7-2 with us on college basketball last week. So without further ado, please welcome from our Canada's black and yellow Steel Town, Hamilton, Ontario. Please welcome our friend Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my man?
Very good. Obviously, we're getting into that time of year where, and it's going to be even more next week with Feast Week, the Maui Invitational, and there's going to be even more daytime basketball through the week with these neutral court tournaments. We're just getting just a little taste of it today, but there's going to be a lot of that coming up in the next week or so.
An enormous amount of it. In the Maui's the number one MTE, but there's some nice ones here today, specifically the Bahamas Championship, which will be hammering as well. B. Rocco ready to get to work. Wager Detective in the house. Wine Time Sports ready to go. And we have a DC Capper. Barry Roselle. It sucked giving out a loser on my first time on. Oh no, not my appearance on Tailgate. My first time on Medicate Mondays. It just it sucks. 0-1 to start out Medicate Mondays. I'm champing to get back at it here. Johnny Yim in the house says, "Can I get a shout out to my best friend Sam? We are listening to you at work. You guys are the best. Thank you, Jonathan Yim, our guy, Uncle Johnny Yim in the house. Thank you. There's Dutch Boy Fresh, ready to rock as well. Guillermo Zertucci in the house. It is a great group here. So let's get to work." Bobano, my friend, let me just get this all set up for you. Speaking of which, though, you did go 7-2 last Thursday in college basketball, so you're seeing the board very clear. Where we are not delivering is in NHL. We need to step up our game here in NHL, and I imagine that we will do that here. But we're starting with the Myrtle Beach Invitational. I don't have everything set up yet, but we don't have time to hem and haw. So why don't we just get into the line history here for the Myrtle Beach Invitational and hear the plan of action and all everything else set up. Ohio Bobcats versus Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders is where we start today. This is in Conway, South Carolina. From a line history standpoint here, we have Ohio minus 2.5 at plus 101. They've gone from dog to favorite here, plus 1 all the way to minus 2.5. The minus 2.5 was juiced. There was just buyback about 20 minutes ago, but the dog to favorite situation here for the Bobcats. When we get to the total in this one, we have a 146.5. That's where it stands right now. I'm going to get the line. This opened up at 152, so we've dropped 5.5 points down to 146.5. Just a big move there. And then cash flow here. These games have been heavily bet, these afternoon games, so we're going to have the opportunity to look at all these different markets here, and we'll look at all of them. On the money line, Middle Tennessee is 28% of the tickets and 54% of the cash. On the spread, though, it's clear that the sharp action has been on Ohio. 31% of tickets, 46% of cash, and we know it's gone from dog to favorite. Then we have 60% of tickets and 63% of cash on the under, and we've watched it just plummet. Take it away for us here, Bobano. The first game on the board, tip-off in 45 minutes, Myrtle Beach Invitational, Ohio Bobcats, Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders.
Yeah, Ohio has not impressed me. The idea of laying points on a neutral court with Ohio right now is not appealing to me. Let's put it that way. They haven't covered a point spread yet. 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. They have faced some pretty good teams, James Madison, Illinois State, Memphis in their last game, but I expected them to compete a little bit better in those games. I mean, they get blown out by double digits in all three. It's not exactly what you want to see, not what I want to see. I think I'm interested in Middle Tennessee State a little bit. When you look at them, they're 3-1, they're 2-1 against the spread. They're coming off a blowout loss against Murray State, 88-67. I'd say there's probably a strength of schedule edge for Ohio. They've probably faced a little bit of a tougher schedule, but there's not really a lot I'm liking with right now with the Bobcats. I mean, their defense has been horrible. They've been absolutely carved up, in some of these games. That definitely is a bit of a worry. And I'm seeing at Bart Torvik, one of the go-to sites for me, they've only got Ohio here, 1.5 point favorite. You can get upwards of now 2.5 with Middle in this game. So I'm definitely a little bit interested in the Blue Raiders in this spot. I think I will make that official. Yeah, at 2.5, I'm in. I mean, I just don't like what I'm seeing from Ohio. They haven't covered a number yet this year, and they're laying points on a neutral court. That's a hard no for me. So Middle Tennessee plus 2.5, minus 110 to get things going.
I think I could find a better number than that minus 110, and I will be searching for that here in a second. I think it's moving. There was some buyback just recently. Middle Tennessee. Oh wait, what am I talking about? No, I'm tripping. I just didn't sleep enough last night. There's so much capping to do. I'm tripping. I'm thinking the wrong side. Middle Tennessee plus 2.5, minus 110 here for Bobano to get his card started. So dog to favorite, but not enough for him to get off or to change his mind here with the Bobcats. Let's move on to the next spot on the board, and we have the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic. Miami Hurricanes 3-0 versus the Drake Bulldogs, who are also 3-0. We're in Charleston, of course, South Carolina for this one. Pretty weak schedule thus far for Miami. All these games have been by margin. Can't be said about Drake. Not that they played stiffer competition, but they won all their games by margin. They just barely got past Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, who haven't won all year. Just barely got past them, 63-61 in their last game. Let's get into the line history here for this one and set it up for Ian. We'll start with the total. This total is at 144. Opened at 142.5. In fact, this was at 142.5 at a pick'em up until 11 minutes ago. 11 minutes ago, this jumped up 1.5. And if you go back to 10 or even 8:30 or 9:30 a.m., this was a 141.5 at a pick'em. So we've had a pretty big move here in the last hour towards the over. On the spread, we have Miami minus 9.5. That's exactly where they opened. This did have a cup of coffee at 10, came back to 9.5. We've had a 3-cent move towards the Hurricanes. And when we get to the cash flow here, just 20% of the tickets, but 55% of the cash is on the Hurricanes. Public backing Drake here, 80% of the tickets, 45% of the cash. Then 57% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the over. Bobano, take it away. Our second spot on the board, we have Justin McKelvey, Drake plus 9.5. We have Nate Dogg 420 on Drake plus 9.5. Action Jackson leaning to the over in this spot. Take it away for us, Bobano. Hurricanes, Bulldogs, in TD Arena.
I think the chat has my notes because I'm on both bets here, Drake and over the total in this game. Miami plays extremely fast. That's not a shock to anyone. Anyone that's watched Miami the last few years knows that. They're a great offensive team. They still have Nigel Pack. He's been there forever. It seems like the great guard for the Hurricanes. They can flat out score, and the one thing about Drake that does concern me is they're a much weaker defensive team than they are offensive, and I think that could be some trouble for them going into this matchup here. And Drake has faced teams that have been able to score, but not at the clip that I think Miami can. So it's why I like the over. We should see some decent pace in this game. Now, it is an early game, and that's always something that can maybe worry you a little bit. If the shooting is there, we will see. I am concerned about the Miami schedule, too, a little bit, because if you look at their competition here in the first 3 games, they're 3-0, but Fairleigh Dickinson, Binghamton, and Coppin State is about as weak as it can possibly get so far as opposing competition. Drake hasn't faced anyone really great yet either, but, Florida Gulf Coast's actually been a decent team so far this year. Stephen F. Austin as well. It's a little bit better competition. Miami defensively, I think there's still some issues there. Is this finally a team that's going to be test them? We'll see. And Drake historically in these non-conference games, especially as an underdog, catching points has been pretty solid. So, 2 bets here. I like them both. Drake plus 10, minus 110. And there is still, thankfully, did it move? Shit, it moved at Bet Online. But there is still at BetMGM 143.5 with the total, so minus 110. So we'll get it there.
You are locked and loaded. Drake plus 10 and the over 143.5. I'm gonna stay off of these two 12 p.m. spots at this point, but I want to get involved. Maybe this next chance will be right for me. 1 p.m. Eastern. We have the Boardwalk Battle, Ocean Center, Daytona Beach, Florida. LaSalle Explorers, undefeated, 4-0 on the season, going up against UC San Diego Titans, coming off an 84-71 loss at home. Both teams played on Saturday, so this is their first time back. When they lost to the Redhawks shot 56.3 from the field and 50 from 3. And then also Seattle just out-rebounded the Titans badly. The interesting thing here, you have the 4-0 team versus a 2-2 team, and yet it's a very, very small spread here. LaSalle minus 2 at minus 101. They opened minus 1.5. When it opened minus 1.5 yesterday at 2:36 p.m., took about 3.5 hours to get to a 2. Then this morning at 8:43, this was a 3. Looked like it was going to continue to move in LaSalle's direction. It is not. It is not. Now you can get LaSalle minus 2, minus 101 with no vig. So a real interesting move to the Titans. From a total standpoint, we have a 144.5. This opened up at 141. So just like the total in the Drake Miami game that skyrocketed over the last hour, that's the same thing happening here with LaSalle and San Diego. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. 4,054 tickets in, so lots of a nice amount for us to study. 49% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on LaSalle on the spread. Why is it coming back? 58% of the tickets, 50% of cash on LaSalle money line, 51 and 52 on the over, and yet it's skyrocketing. Take it away for us here, Bobano. LaSalle Explorers, UC San Diego Tritons.
Yeah, this is a tough game from a side perspective for me. I like both teams. I've cashed tickets with both teams so far this year. I like the way they've played, both of them so far. LaSalle 3-1 against the spread, 4-0 straight up. Fran Dunphy still can coach. You know, that was a good couple of wins he had earlier this season against Cornell. Blew them out at home. I don't think it's the same Cornell team. They're not as good this year, but still very impressive. They go on the road in the Philly rivalry against Drexel, and they win 71-68. I kind of like this UC San Diego team as well. I'm a little bit perplexed how bad they played in their last game. Like, Seattle's been terrible on the road going back to last year, and they lose at home 84-71 to Seattle. That game's kind of a head scratcher. But other than that, you know, they beat Sacramento State and Pepperdine. They covered the number in defeat, a close loss at Viejas Arena against San Diego State, which is a pretty good result. So these are two teams I like. I don't want to bet against either one, especially in the unknown of a neutral court like this in an early game in Daytona Beach. I do like this total, though. I like the over. I agree with the move. LaSalle's playing fast, very good offensively. I think when you look at San Diego, UC San Diego, I should say, the Tritons, still some issues defensively with them. I mean, when you're giving up 84 at home to Seattle, and you're giving up 76 to a bad Pepperdine team that really couldn't, get anything going last night, for example, against UNLV, means there's still some defensive issues here for the Tritons. So we should see pace. We should see enough points. Over 143, minus 110 for LaSalle, UC San Diego.
Over 143 at minus 110. Well, this becomes appealing now after your breakdown. It feels like, I mean, it's pretty clear, other than the cash flow, that UC San Diego is a pretty sharp side. The public was coming in hammering LaSalle, and that stopped happening. We talked about the Red Hawks shooting 50 from three. The issue was rebounding. San Diego couldn't get any boards, 20 rebounds in that basketball game. Yep. Is LaSalle capable of doing that same thing to the Tritons? Because if they're not, I would like to move on UC San Diego with our guy, the Skunt Blaster. Shout out to the Skunt Blaster in the house. He is FAU money line. He also has San Diego money line, Oregon State money line, Hornets money line, Detroit Red Wings money line, Minnesota Wild money line. I'm going to be on a bunch of your action because I'm starting to lean towards the Red Wings. I always had. I wanted to see what the market was going to do. I feel like the Islanders on this final game of this road trip are just battered and beaten, but they're still playing good hockey. Fascinating action. And thank you so much for the $19.99 dono to our friend the Skunt Blaster. So tell me, Bobano, can LaSalle do the same thing on the boards to the Tritons, or because I'm very close to getting my first action in on the day on San Diego?
Well, I like LaSalle a lot, so right away I'm not betting against them as far as the matchup goes.
So why? But what is keeping you off of LaSalle?
No, I like UC San Diego too. I do. It's just two teams I've got the arrow pointing up on. As far as the rebounding numbers, you're right. They got crushed on the glass against Seattle. See, that's a bad loss. That's the good thing. If you like UC San Diego, maybe that loss is a wake up call. You're going to see them be a whole lot better. One thing about UC San Diego is they are a horrible offensive rebounding team. Horrible. They're one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country. They're right around 360 in that category. When you look at LaSalle, Jimmy, they're 118 in offensive rebounding. So there is a pretty big disparity as far as that's concerned. So when I look at those numbers, there is some concern about LaSalle being able to give UC San Diego the same problems on the glass.
Because we have Morgan saying LaSalle, much better rebounding team than Seattle, ranked 25th in total team rebound percentage.
Yep. So if you're getting crushed on the boards at home by Seattle, and LaSalle does have especially good offensive rebounding numbers, and that's the numbers where UC San Diego's one of the worst teams in all the country, 359 in offensive rebounds per game. So, yeah, that does concern me about the Tritons.
Okay. Well, that'll just take me off of UC San Diego, unfortunately. I still want to get involved here, and
I mean, we're seeing LaSalle 118 in offensive rebounds per game, and we're seeing UC San Diego 359. Like, that is absolutely one of the worst rates in the country. So if that is a matchup concern, it could become apparent today.
Yeah, it's going to unfortunately keep me off here. Great day for DC Capper. Yes,
Fran Dunphy. How many times has Fran Dunphy coached in a neutral court tournament? He's been around this block many a time, going back to all his years at Temple. What about this UC San Diego coach? How many times has he done this?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll stay off. It's okay. We need succeeding is more important than just firing out shots. So let's move on to 2:30 p.m. Eastern with the Myrtle Beach Invitational. South Florida Bulls 2-2 versus the Portland Pilots 2-2. We're at the HTC Center in Conway, South Carolina. South Florida off back-to-back wins. Portland also off a win against Long Beach, but when we saw what Long Beach did against Gonzaga, I don't know how much that means. The last win for South Florida was against, a Div 3 West Georgia Wolves squad, so it's not a big win there. But, before that, they did beat Arkansas Pine Bluff, did beat the Golden Lions. So that is something. They didn't shoot the ball well either, 39.1 from the field and 23.5% from three. Despite that, they still won by 16. The South Florida Bulls going up against Portland Pilots. That was a very good game, 80-70 in overtime at Oregon, and I guess they were just a little high on themselves. It feels like, they lost by 41 points to UC Santa Barbara. Played horrific, shot 30.3 from the field, 16.1 from three. They were down on themselves. They knew they had to play better, and they did. And maybe Oregon overlooked them in that 80-70 overtime loss. And then they felt good about themselves and barely got past Long Beach State. Shot 42.3 from the field and 40 from three. So will they be ready to rock right here? Let's get into the line history. This is at 2:30 p.m. here. The Myrtle Beach Invitational. We have this total at 146.5. It opened up at 145.5, so we've gone up 1 point to 146.5. On the spread, we have this right now at 7. Portland 7-point dogs plus 7. This opened up at 8, and it got up to 9. This was last night at 9:19 p.m. That was the high water mark. It's just been coming down, and now we have a full move, 1-point move to the Pilots. And we take a look at the cash flow here. The Pilots are just a public darling. 94% of the tickets and 87% of the cash. That's a little surprising. 58% of tickets, 58% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Bulls, Pilots in Conway, South Carolina. Oh, I think you. Oh, there you go.
Muted. There we go. Yeah, they look impressive. Well, they look impressive the last couple of games, Portland. I mean, they took Oregon to overtime. Very impressive job by them. And Oregon just blew out Troy. Troy's a solid team. Oregon blew them out. So that's even more impressive here for Portland. This is a very good coach. I mean, he's had a very tough program to inherit because they've been bad for a very long time. But Shante Lagan's a very solid coach. We see what they've done the last couple of games. Very impressive against Oregon and Long Beach State. South Florida's beaten up. Pine Bluff and West Georgia is really bad. So I don't want to make too much into that. Against the tougher teams, Charleston and Florida, they lost both by double digits, failed to cover in both of those games. And they're still recovering from the shock and the utter tragedy of their coach passing away, Amir Abdur-Rahim. So you wonder if that psychologically is why South Florida's just all over the map right now. You're not quite sure what you're going to get from them. And yes, I remember Portland and Shante Lagans, to Rod Z's point in the chat, Rod Zawacki. Portland's given good teams, a game, especially in a lot of these neutral court games since he's been the head coach. He came over to Portland from Eastern Washington. I agree. I understand why everyone's enamored with Portland. Kind of worries me. Everyone seems to like him, but I got to lean Portland here in this game as well. And this is a game where we should see points as well. South Florida plays an extremely fast pace. We know that. Portland slowed it down a little bit, but they're better offensively than they are defensively. That might show a little bit here in this game. This is another game where the total's bumped up a bit, so I can't be the only one that thinks we might see points here. So this is another side and total. I'll take Portland plus 7.5, minus 110. We'll also get in on over 146, minus 110.
Over 146, minus 110 as well here for South Florida, Portland. We have more action at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the Shriners Children. We'll go back to the Shriners Children Charleston's Classic here. And we have Oklahoma State at Florida Atlantic. Speaking of Rod Zawacki in the chat, he will be making his NFL Pub Hub debut here with us on Sunday, and I'm so excited to have him on the show. A shout out to Rod Zawacki in the house. We have Oklahoma State, Florida Atlantic Owls. So we've heard from both Morgan Spooner and from Cody Norton, the Skunt Blaster. They're both on the Owls in this spot. Oklahoma State coming off that 85-78 victory over Southern Illinois. You were on the Salukis. That was last week on Thursday. You cashed with the Salukis. I believe you cashed with the over as well. And then FAU, a couple losses. They lose at UCF. They lose at Charleston. That was in double overtime. And then they get past Liberty 77-74 in overtime. So very tough games here. And Oklahoma State's being tested by all three of their opponents. The Salukis, who were huge dogs, only lost by 7. The St. Thomas, the Tommies, Oklahoma State only beat them by 9. Green Bay, Oklahoma State only beat them by 13. So very interesting spot here. Let's get into the line history. Lamont Williams, Max Parlay is in. OKC, I hit my max bet today. NHL, Tampa, and Florida on the puck line. Oh, I love it. I'll go over all of that. Thank you for sharing that. I will definitely copy and paste that. And then Rod Zawacki says, bet against Oklahoma State versus very good shooting teams, making over 48% of their shots. Oklahoma State record since 2024, 0-6 against the spread. Let's get into the line history here. Florida Atlantic, here we have another dog to favorite situation, but it's the Owls. Opening up a +2, now -1. At -111, I feel that's obviously an appealing spot, and we talked about that being the same thing with the whole Ohio Bobcats. But I was capped off of backing the Bobcats. I would like to find my way on Florida Atlantic here. Very high total, opened up at 164, has dropped down to 162.5. It is juiced to the over. It was juiced to the under heavily at 162.5 at about 10:15 a.m. So it's come back about 10 minutes. Let's get and Stacks play of the day is also Florida Atlantic. So there we go. We have Stacks. We have the Skunt Blaster. We have Morgan Spooner all here on Florida Atlantic. And shout out to our guy Justin McKelvey for the Stacks play of the day.
Stacks.
A lot of money on Florida Atlantic. Good God. 10,339 tickets in, so we have a huge sample size to talk about. On the spread, 96% of the tickets, 97% of the cash. It's the opposite on the money line. Interesting. On the money line, only 35% of the tickets and 6% of the cash on Florida Atlantic. Very, very interesting. 67% of the tickets, 66% cash on the under. Wow. Wild. Absolutely wild. Take it away for us here, Bobano. We have Oklahoma State, Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, I like Florida Atlantic. Yes, I like the Owls as well. Florida Atlantic in this game. Oklahoma State 0-3 against the spread. Haven't faced anybody, and also have not looked all that impressive in any of those games. They won all 3, but Green Bay in the debut of Doug Gottlieb as the head coach there, of course, very well-known figure. 89-76. And they needed a late run to pull away there. St. Thomas, wasn't all that great. Defensively against teams that are not even close to the level of Florida Atlantic, they struggled to guard, struggled to defend in all 3 of those games. It's not exactly what you want to see I think it's going to take Oklahoma State a little bit of time to gel. Meanwhile, Florida Atlantic, they're 3-2 on the year, and they've already been tested. Indiana State's a solid team. UCF's a good team. Charleston's a good team. Liberty is a solid team. They've really played some good competition. So there's a huge strength of schedule advantage, in my opinion, here for Florida Atlantic. Not sure Oklahoma State, what I've seen the first 3 games, they're ready for this step up, which is a clear step up in competition from what they faced the first 3 games. So I will take Florida Atlantic here. There's still a +1 out there at PointsBet, +1 -110 for FAU. So we'll take that.
I'll rock with you guys. I'll run with you guys. I love what Morgan's talking about as well. Morgan saying FAU's been in Charleston all week, no travel spot. They got familiar with the gym. They know how big of a game this is with Oklahoma State coming in. I love it. I'm going to move on this here. I'm going to do it while the show is going on here. So this will finally, I can get involved in action. While I'm locking that in, let's talk about our next spot on the board. That is back to the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida for the Boardwalk battle with the East Carolina Pirates versus the Jacksonville State Gamecocks here. Shout out to the Earl brothers, the East Carolina alums. We have East Carolina off to a strong start. They beat Coastal Carolina 63-59. That was impressive. They're coming off of beating George Mason. Patriots should be strong this year. Also, East Carolina won in overtime despite shooting 33.8% from the field and 22.6% from 3. They outboarded the Patriots. They had played much cleaner basketball than the Patriots. 4-0 to start the year, but all of those came at home, and now we are at a neutral site. Jacksonville State they lost to Air Force 73-67, but bounced back against Georgia State, beating them by 5. And then they beat Coastal Carolina at Coastal Carolina, and they really beat them badly, 71-53. Coastal Carolina shot poorly. Also, talk about clean basketball. In that game, Bobano, Jacksonville State turned the ball over just 3 times, while Coastal Carolina only turned the ball over 5 times. But Jacksonville State shot 51.9 from the field and 35.3 from 3. If you compare that to when Eastern Carolina played Coastal Carolina in that tight game, again, Eastern Carolina shot poorly, but four turnovers for Eastern Carolina. These are 2 clean basketball teams right now, playing very clean basketball. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. That we got a 133 on the total. 133. This opened up at 134.5, so we've dropped a 1.5. We get to the spread here for the East Carolina Jacksonville State spot. Jacksonville State is +4 at -107. They opened up +3, so we've had a 1-point move towards the Pirates. And we get to the cash flow. We have 95% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the Gamecocks. That's fascinating. Now, we're only talking about 2,438 tickets. And then again, just like the game we just spoke about in Oklahoma State FAU, it's the opposite on the money line. People moving on East Carolina on the money line, 84% of the tickets and 62% of the cash, 57 and 58 on the over, despite it dropping. Take it away for us here, Bobano, the Boardwalk battle, East Carolina, Jacksonville State.
Yeah, East Carolina is a team that I think is going to be improved this year. How much is going to be the question? But they're off to a 4-0 start. Now, not a great schedule so far for them. Coastal Carolina. George Mason's by far is their best opponent, but they had a very impressive win in that game, 78-77, as a slight home underdog there. So that's probably their best opponent. Meanwhile, you look at Jacksonville State, and they've played 4 games. They played Coastal as well. East Carolina and Jacksonville State both beat them, and then they ought to win against Georgia State. I think the very interesting thing about this matchup here with East Carolina and Jacksonville State is East Carolina, pretty solid offensive team. Jacksonville State, solid defensively. One thing that's very interesting, though, is the turnover percentage kind of in East Carolina's favor, where they force turnover, or where they are very good taking care of the basketball, and Jacksonville State doesn't force a lot of turnovers. So it's probably a good situation here. Both teams are going to play slow. It's going to be a very slow tempo game. Both teams are in the 300s in that regard. If you look at it, though, East Carolina feasts more as far as, inside. They're a little bit better as far as shooting the basketball. We'll see if they can take advantage of that. They're not a great three-point shooting team and can't take advantage totally of Jacksonville State. I'm very interested to see how this goes. I lean East Carolina. I don't like the number, though. 3.5 at money line or pick 'em or -1 even. I'm interested. I don't want to lay 3.5. I don't want to lay more than a possession. I don't want to take a money line in this price range. So it's a pass for me.
It's a tricky game. Morgan Spooner saying, "What up, NJ Striker in the house? Great to see you." Morgan Spooner says ECU was able to stay in the George Mason game by bullying on the boards. They weren't able to do that versus Coastal Carolina, and Jacksonville State won that rebound battle by 8. This isn't a team ECU can shoot 40% on. I have Jacksonville on the money line on his card. Wow. Okay. So and then did okay? No, I was wondering if Skunk Blaster was on that as well. So yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable staying off of that spot. I'm comfortable staying off of it. Why don't we move on to when we go back to TD Arena in Charleston, South Carolina for the Charleston Classic here. Seton Hall Pirates at VCU. Now this concludes our earlier games. We're moving on to 3 big games after this, and then we're going to get into NHL, then NFL, and then college football. We have Seton Hall, 2 ugly losses, losing 57-56 to Fordham, losing 49-48 to Hofstra. And then they bounce back by holding Wagner to 28 points. 28 points. Held them to 23.9 from the field and 16.7 from 3. A tough defensive squad, but has trouble scoring. VCU 4-0 to start the year. Beat up on Bellarmine, beat up on Boston College, beat up on Merrimack, and beat up on Loyola Maryland. This VCU team has not been tested yet this year. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Seton Hall +7. Opened up at 6.5. Got to 7.5, got to 8. They were at 8 this morning at 9. This has come back a point to 7. So we have a half-point move towards VCU. And from a cash flow standpoint, we have a very low 126.5. This opened up at 126.5. There's actually been a 10-cent move to the under at this number. And when we take a look at the cash flow, we have 90% of the tickets and 78% of the cash on Seton Hall. On the spread, 4,235 tickets in, so it's a public spot. 68% of tickets, 66% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. We have Seton Hall, VCU in Charleston.
I mean, Seton Hall looks really bad, and this is not good for our guy Shaheen Holloway, who, of course, did a great job at Peters, and that's what got him this job. This has been ugly. It's not been good for Seton Hall. 1-3 against the spread. 2-2 straight up, but I'm telling you what, they've not been impressive. They barely beat St. Peter's, Shaheen's former team. They did play well against Wagner, but before that they lose outright as favorites to Fordham and Hofstra. In a couple of New York, New Jersey battles, I guess you could say there. Couldn't score the basketball. Offense has been dreadful. They haven't cracked 60 points in a game. Now I know they're not a great offensive team, and I know they play slow, but should still be doing a little bit better offensively than that. So there's all kinds of issues right now with them offensively. And now they got to take on a VCU team that plays that Havoc style. It's an excellent defensive team. How the hell are they going to score? I mean, they're struggling to score at home against Fordham and Hofstra. How the hell are you going to score against this VCU team? So I've got concerns about the matchup. This is obviously, when you look at it, a situation where you're talking about a neutral court here, Charleston, but I think it's just a potential for a blowout. I mean, I think this is just getting VCU at the wrong time for a team that's just not at all settled and just, it seems like, in shambles offensively. That's not what you want when you're playing VCU. So I don't like laying moderate points on a neutral very often, but I find this a complete mismatch on paper. So give me VCU here, -6.5, -120.
-6.5 at -120. I think I'm going to join you on that one. I did just get the money line on Florida Atlantic at -110 at 365. It's -116 at Pinnacle. I have bet it. I haven't tweeted it out yet. And so I think I will join you here on VCU. I can imagine that a lot of cappers will see this line and think too many points immediately, just out of a vividness bias, not based on the X's and O's from what they've seen this year.
Yeah, normally Shaheen's a good dog. Seton Hall in the past, even going back to when Kevin Willard was the head coach here many years ago. They were a good underdog. I don't know, though. I don't see it. I mean, this is a really good VCU team. They're an excellent defensive team, and Seton Hall struggling to score against much weaker teams and weaker defensive teams than VCU. So I think it's a troublesome matchup here.
Okay, I'm going to join you on that. So I'm going to get this out there. So now we move on to big spots. Bobano is free to add anything he wants after these 3 games because there's big spots that we're not talking about with Bobano that we're talking about with Daby Cab later on in the show. Those spots are NC State, Wolfpack, Georgia Tech. Oh, sorry, that's football. Sorry, my bad. Those 2 spots are. God, I'm tripping here, man. Here we are. Those 2 spots are Baylor, St. John's, and Memphis, San Francisco Dons. I've just ridiculous amount of pages of notes here. So let's move on to the next spot on the board here, and that is the UKG Legends Classic. We're in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, for the Syracuse Orange at the Texas Longhorns. Syracuse needed double overtime to get past Youngstown State. They only beat Colgate by 2, and then the Dolphins of Lemoyne, they beat by 4. Everything has been very difficult for Syracuse thus far this year. You can't say that about Texas. They have absolutely annihilated the competition. Beat Holy Cross 90-59. Beat Chicago State 105-58. I mean, we're talking just dominance. They shot 57.1 from the field and 50 from 3. And then they absolutely destroy Mississippi Valley State 89-43. Again, this time they shoot 64.4 from the field and only turn the ball over 7 times. Only allow the Devils to get I don't have the rebound count in front of it. 19. It was 19 rebounds. So like nothing, absolutely nothing. Let's take a look at the line history here for Syracuse, Texas. This one pops off at 7 p.m. We'll start with the total. This total is at 155.5, heavily juiced to the over. We see 156 is everywhere. It opened up at 154, so we have a 1.5 or 2 point move towards the over. And on the point spread here, we have Texas as 11.5 point favorites. This is just growing. This opened up at -8.5, got to 9, got to 10.5, got to 11, and then bounced back to 10.5 for a bit. It's done that a couple times, and now we're at 11.5. Now we have a 3 point move towards the Longhorns. And when we get to the cash here, give me 1 second and move down to the 7 p.m. games. We have 43% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on Texas, 82 and 81 on the under. Rod's Wacky says, bet against Texas in away or neutral games after scoring 80 points or more 2 straight games. Texas record since 2023, 0-8 against the spread. My dude is in here with his best bets as well. Jaden Ivey over 4 assists. I will copy and paste that. Dougie Wise looking at St. John's plus 2.5. DC Capper Bookie Buster play of the day in Nevada -2.5. Coin on Miami -9.5, and he's also Cleveland plus 3.5 in NFL. I'm going to copy and paste all of this stuff. Rod Zawacki, by the way, on the over in that the Seton Hall VCU game as well. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Syracuse, Texas.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because you look at this matchup, and you're right, Texas has been impressive. Even though I'm not a big fan of Rodney Terry, I'm not. I mean, let's see what happens when the SEC schedule rolls around. And that's the thing. Texas is in a very strong basketball conference now as well, with some of the teams they're going to have to deal with there. But they have been impressive. You know, they've won 3 straight: Houston Christian, Chicago State, Mississippi Valley State. That being said, they did drop one, obviously, early in the season to Ohio State on the neutral court as favorites. So we'll see how they fare here in this game against a Syracuse team that, look, they played Lemoyne, Colgate, and Youngstown State at home, and they went 0-3 against the spread in those games. I get it. So, and, you know, offensively, they look great. I really like a lot of the parts Syracuse has offensively. They have Eddie Lampkin, who's been around the block, of course. Donnie Freeman, Chris Bell, J.J. Starling. There's a lot of good offensive pieces for Syracuse. It's going to be, can they D up consistently? It's going to be the question. They play fast as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Texas guards them. I certainly like this over. in this game. I think it's going to be, kind of up and down. Texas doesn't mind playing that way. They kind of got into a game like that with Ohio State. Syracuse will push pace. So I like over 155.5, minus 110. I am leaning to the plus points, though, with Cuse. And I know they're 0-3 against the spread. But you look at Texas, they've had basically 3 walkovers. And I know Syracuse is playing away from home for the first time, but it's a good offensive team. And when you're going to give a team that can flat out score and shoot the basketball 11.5 points, often to me, that's a price worth taking. And again, we saw Texas in their lone step up against Ohio State as favorites on a neutral, end up losing that game. And now here they are on a neutral at Barclays Center, laying 11.5. And let's not forget Brooklyn, New York. I mean, there will be Syracuse people in the house cheering them on. No question about that. So maybe a little slight home edge to Syracuse, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of Cuse fans in attendance. So, yeah, I'm interested at this number. At 8.5, there's a push to Texas. Maybe at that number, I'm off this game. But I can get now 3 points better of it with Syracuse, plus 11.5, close to home. I'll take it. So Syracuse plus 11.5, minus 110.
And by the way, I moved on the minus 110 while I bet the VCU spot. I got that moved to minus 125. So a 15-cent move on that money line on Florida Atlantic, while I was on the other spot. Syracuse, that was plus 10.5?
Plus 10.5, yep.
And what juice?
Minus 110.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. Locked and loaded. Rodswag says, bet against Texas in away. We did that one already. Bet against Rodney Terry in away or neutral games after scoring 75 or more in 2 straight games.
What number do you have again for Syracuse? 11.5, right?
I thought there was 11.5.
Yeah, 11.5. Yep. No, it's right. 11.5 minus 110.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just about to tweet these 2 spots out that I'm moving on. I'm staying off of Syracuse, Texas, but the next spot for us, Bobano, is a big one. We head to Nassau, Bahamas for the Bahamas Championship. We have the Virginia Cavaliers going up against the 11th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. A big one here. Both teams come in undefeated. Virginia, has had they took out Villanova. That was their last game. They took out Villanova. It was impressive. They did it on Friday, 70-60. Tennessee took out Louisville, took out Gardner-Webb, took out Montana, took out Austin P, took them all out by margin, have yet to be tested here. Let's get into the line history for this one. We have Virginia as 12-point dogs. Big. They open up at 11. They move to 12. So the 12-point dogs. Let's get into the total here for this one. On a total, we have this right now at 125.5 at minus 112. This opened up at 127. It dropped all the way down to 125, and it's now at 125.5. And cash flow wise, 11% of the tickets are on Tennessee, but 53% of the cash. Then 79 and 77 on the over. Rodswag says, bet on Rick Barnes in away or neutral games after 2 straight games where they made 50% of their shots or better. Barnes' record as coach of Tennessee, 9-1 against the spread. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Our second to last game in the college hoops card, the Bahamas Championship, Virginia, Tennessee.
I definitely lean under, certainly from a totals perspective. I think it'll be buckets hard to come by. I'm still not sure Tennessee's a better offensive team. I don't think they're as good offensively as they were last year. I lean Virginia, but problem is Virginia, who dominated Villanova, but Villanova's pretty bad. What we've seen so far earlier this year is a big step up, and I don't know how they're going to score consistently. And if they fall behind by double digits, which is possible, because I do think Tennessee's got the better team and the better athletes here, I don't know if they're going to have the backdoor potential against this kind of a defense. So I lean under, but it's an easy pass for me from a side perspective. I don't want to lay 11.5 on a neutral with Tennessee, and I don't trust Virginia enough to score. So pass for me.
All right, we will roll on to our final spot here on the board, and it is a storied rivalry. Oregon State to close up our. Now, it's not going to close up our college basketball action. Of course, we're going to have Daby Cab rocking 2 more games, and Bobano can add anything he would like to here on this slate. But we're going to move into NHL next, and then we're going to move to NFL and NCAA football. Oregon Ducks, Oregon State Beavers. The Ducks bounced back from that needing overtime to get past the Pilots by beating Troy 82-61 at home. This is their first road game of the year up in Corrales, where Oregon State's looked very good. They've won all their games by huge margin. Their last game, so they also have a rest advantage, 2-day rest advantage. They beat up on Cal State. Fullerton Titans held them to 19 points in second half, but they were up 30. Cal State was up 30. Cal State Fullerton was up 32-25 at the half before Oregon State took over. Let's get into the line history here for this one, and then we'll move into NHL. We have this total at 139.5, slightly juiced to the over. It's come up from 138.5, so it's a 1-point move towards the over. On the spread, we have Oregon State 6.5-point home dogs. Opened up 6.5, dropped down to 6. It's back at 6.5. We've had 4 cents of movement towards the Ducks. And we see the cash flow here. We have 82% of the tickets and 76% of the cash on Oregon State. And 74 and 73 on the under. Wow. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Our final spot on the board. A battle of two rivals, Oregon and Oregon State.
I'm not comfortable laying points with Oregon just yet. Not after what I've seen from them on a couple of occasions this year. I guess so the big question, and usually in these rivalry games, I'm interested in the dog. But when you look at Oregon State, I've got questions about their, ability right now still when you look at what they've done so far this year, because they played Weber State, who have clearly shown they're not very good. Fullerton's been all over the map. And then, of course, Utah Tech in their first game. Now, they won and covered. Were very convincing in all 3 games, blowout victories, but definitely going to be taking a step up here against this Oregon Ducks team. That being said, Oregon State is 4-0 against the spread. The last 4 head-to-head meetings versus Oregon, we've seen a 9-point game, a 2-point game, a 2-point game, a 7-point game. So they've been competitive. No question about that. We'll see if that can maintain itself here tonight with these two teams. And you are talking about this game being in Corvallis. So the more I talk it out, the more I'm interested here in the Beavers. I will get in on them, actually. Plus 6.5, plus 100. Wow. Right on even money. Oregon State plus 6.5, plus 100. I don't know. To me, I see still some issues with Dana Altman's team. So far this year, turnovers have been a problem. Scoring droughts have been a problem. Defensively, like in the Portland game, it stands out. Portland went on big-time runs, scoring the basketball and 10-2 runs and not getting back on defense. And as usual with a team coached by Dana, they start slow every year. November, December. Oregon is never that good. It's then February and March you get their best basketball year in and year out. So let's see if that trend continues with the sluggish start to the season for Oregon. And like I said, Oregon State's covered 4 straight head-to-head in this series. So we'll take the plus 6.5.
Plus 6.5 at even money. I'm going to sit with this one for a little bit. I kind of lean towards Oregon stepping up here. But everything that you've said is going to make me pause and give me some time to think about it and mull it all over. Let's review all action here in college basketball. By the way, our guy Chang Kim is asking, what is your best bet in college basketball? I'll review all of your action, Bobano, and you can let us know if any of these spots you like a little more than the others. You get your card started right now. Middle Tennessee plus 2.5 and Drake plus 10 and the over 143.5. Your card is started right now. We got afternoon action that we can live bet if things open up for us. Bobano's on the over 143 in LaSalle, San Diego. LaSalle, San Diego. I will go over our action from Nordy and from we have Nordy's action, Morgan's action, bunch of action out there. We got stacks, everything. Bobano also on Portland plus 7.5 in the over 146 in South Florida, Portland. We are both on Florida Atlantic. He's on plus 1 at minus 110. I'm on Florida Atlantic minus 110 money line. He stayed off East Carolina, Jacksonville, but we're both going to be on VCU. By the way, I can get you that minus 6.5 at minus 114 for VCU. So we'll cut 6 cents off of that one. That's what I moved on. VCU minus 6.5 at minus 114. DC Capper The Bookie Buster play today is Nevada -2.5. Dougie Wise on St. John's +2.5. We're going to talk about those here shortly. And Coin is moving on the Hurricanes -9.5. Bobano on Syracuse +11 and the over 155.5. And he's on the Oregon State Beavers +6.5 at +100. So 2 questions for you, Bobano. Is there anything that you wanted to add for your record keeping for our record keeping purposes for games
From
we
the
haven't
games
spoken
we
about?
didn't talk about. I'm just looking over everything. I want to add the Dons of San Francisco money line against Memphis.
Okay, we are talking
I
about
think-
that one. Perfect.
I think this is one of the tougher games for Memphis. They got to go all the way out west. Let's see how they handle it. They've had a pretty cupcake schedule early on. The Dons have looked extremely impressive. They're -115 right now at Bet Rivers. I'm taking San Francisco, so I definitely want to add that. No question. It's actually that's actually arguably my best bet for the entire day is San Francisco there in that spot against Memphis tonight. Let me see what I kind of like Baylor against St. John. Yeah, put Baylor money line on the card too. Baylor against St. John's. I'm not buying Rick Pitino being ready for Baylor just yet. It's a good team. We know that. And we saw what they obviously did against New Mexico. But I think there's a big step up in just overall athleticism, overall offensive talent, and certainly better defense, I think, from Baylor. And Baylor's been tested. I know people still remember them getting absolutely destroyed by Gonzaga. Gonzaga's legit. Gonzaga could go and win the whole thing this year with what they brought back. I don't think that should be a blemish on Baylor, getting just crushed by Gonzaga that first game. It's still a very good Baylor team, and I think they've progressively gotten better. I don't know if St. John's ready for that. So I'll take Baylor here. We'll just do money line -138 with Baylor.
Baylor -138. That's great. Gives us
That's true. Memphis with UConn on deck as well. That's another thing that's negative for them tonight.
So would you say the Dons money line is your favorite look in college basketball for our guy Chan Cam?
I will. There's a couple others that are right there, but I'll say San Francisco. Yep.
All right, we are locked and loaded. Excellent stuff from Bobano, and it gives us fodder for when our guy Daby Cab breaks those spots down. Okay, it is time to move on to NHL. That's where we have not been delivering. I went on a big run to get close to the black, and then I not had a very good week. So we've had some struggles here. So let's change that right now. We start with NHL at 7 p.m. Eastern. Utah Hockey Club 7-8-3, 3-4-2 on the road. The Boston Bruins 8-9-3, 5-4-2 at home. TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Yeah, Jake Burns. It was tough watching that game last night. Buffalo could do nothing. But where was the offense from the Kings? I mean, it was just.
I'll take it. I had Buffalo. I'll take it.
Oh, it's great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I just I'm gonna fade Buffalo tonight too. They're really creating very little offense, but God, Rasmus Dahlin is so good, and Luukkonen is playing. Every time I watch Luukkonen, he's just lights out. Yeah. Looking very, very strong. But let's start here. Karel Vejmelka will be in between the pipes. We got Connor Ingram hurt. Vejmelka 1-4-0, 2.58 goals against average, 9-15 save percentage, no shots. Jeremy Swayman has struggled all year. 5-7-2, 3.47 goals against average, 8.84 save percentage. Now Ullmark has struggled too over in Ottawa, but and they both had to sign the big contracts. Neither power play is working. Of course, it's all about Jim Montgomery being fired, and we'll speak on that. But let's go over the line history here. So one thing that I've started to recognize, and I think I was just a little too blanket statement with the, I'd like to have $100,000 in a bank account and put 5,000 on it every time a team fires their coach, backing them, because there are certain spots where it's unjust. It feels unjust. There's a feeling around the league. There's a feeling around the fans that the decision that was made was unjust. And Sweeney is no stranger to unjust NHL head coaching firings. And here the Bruins have gone from -169 to -130. Now, I did not know there'd been this monstrous market move at all. I didn't know that this had happened. I'd already felt very uncomfortable with the decision making. We've seen it, with Woody for the Jets, his firing of Salah at that time. It just didn't make sense at that time. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't unjust, but it didn't make sense. There was lots of time. You had all opportunity in the offseason to fire Salah. And now the firing in New Orleans looks quite a bit better. But here, this total has gone from 6 minus 117 to the under to 6 minus 111 to the under. So we've had a slight move towards the over. Both power plays are horrific. Utah 13.7%, Boston 11.7%. Both penalty killings have been really weak. And you know who's bothered me the most, because it's the second year in a row I've made the mistake of backing Barrett Hayton in the hockey pool. And Barrett Hayton, who at times, he's like the 5th overall pick in the draft a few years ago, and I'm like, this guy's got time. He's not doing anything. He's not hit. He has 3 hits this season. 3. I mean, he's just very difficult to watch. Vejmelka's been excellent, by the way. So Utah comes in off their second straight loss, 6-2 at home to the Capitals on Monday night. They were outscored 10-4 over their last 2 games, home loss to the Capitals and Knights. The Bruins come off their 3rd straight ugly loss, that 5-1 setback at home versus the Blue Jackets on Monday night, and it was so ugly that they fired Jim Montgomery. Jim Montgomery, 120 wins, 41 losses. That's it. 120 wins and 41 losses. Now he's got 23 overtime.
750 win percentage in the regular season as a Bruins head coach. See you later. Yeah, unbelievable. Cruel world.
Yeah, it's just unjust. I mean, at some point, can't you blame the players? At some point, and this is so early in the season. Can't you trust the coach who's done such a phenomenal job, at least in the regular season? So Boston's 31st in goals per game at 2.40. The 27th in goals against per game at 3.45. Last in the NHL on the power play at 11.7%. 25th on the penalty kill at 75.6%. Pasternak has looked okay this year, 17 points. Marchand has 13 points. He's almost played himself off of Team Canada in the 4 Nations. No other Bruin has double-digit points through 20 games. Last season, we saw Charlie Coyle look spectacular. Now, he's still playing well defensively, but, done nothing. Pavel Zacha, he's 7 points this year. Trent Frederic and Morgan Geekie both had career high seasons last year, have done nothing. And now we have Joe Sacco, who's an NHL head coach for the first time in 11 years. I remember him well, from his days on the Ducks. He had been an assistant with Boston since 2014, was coach of the Avalanche from 2009 to 2013 before joining the Bruin staff. So he knows this team very well. And Hampus Lindholm, they've said that, when he went down, that he was their best defenseman. It wasn't McAvoy, it was Hampus Lindholm. Take it away, Bobano, but I am not betting the Boston Bruins tonight, which is something I usually do in these situations. Take it away.
I am just because I think it's a beatable team. Utah right now, who's been very inconsistent off back-to-back losses against Washington and Vegas, and they already lost to Utah earlier. They're saying all the right things, that we let a good man, down, and obviously and all that. Apparently, everyone likes.
I screwed up, Bobano. It's Korpisalo who's being confirmed, and maybe that's the reason for the giant market move.
That's ridiculous. The market's reacting to that and just fading Boston because of that. He's been the better goalie so far, believe it or not, than Swayman, or at least they've been close. We're acting like we're going from Jeremy Swayman to Aaron Dell in net tonight for the Boston. That's absolutely absurd. My goodness. Has anyone watched Jeremy Swayman play this year? Why the hell are we just betting Utah hand over fist tonight just because Korpisalo's in net? That's just absolutely makes no sense to me. I'm going to buy into the spot tonight. I don't know if Boston's going to be a team where if they win tonight, I'm going to ride them. I don't know if they've got a run in them. This is still a flawed roster, a slow team. They've got issues on defense. They don't score enough. They're not getting anything from their 3rd or 4th line. But for one night, I'm going to trust them to step up. I'm going to go with first period. I'm going to go first period puck line. -0.5 plus 172 with first period puck line. In this game. I'm also going to go full game money line -130 is the best price out there right now. And also first period over 1.5, -114. I do expect a very energetic start from the Bruins. I'll try to get off to a fast start at first 20 minutes of this game. So those are 3 good angles I like. The first period over, first period puck line Bruins, full game money line Bruins as well. Vejmelka's up and down. Who knows what you're going to get from him tonight?
That's true. He has, up and down historically.
Yeah.
This year he's been at times phenomenal. It's saying this team is coming in on UC Santiago now +105. So Bobano hammering our first game on the board. Bruins first period -0.5 plus 172. Full game -130. First period over 1.5 -114. I'm staying off. I'm going to back away from these spots where the firing leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And, Don Sweeney, I don't like him. I just, it's been building and building, and now I just straight up don't fucking like him. Let's move on. Next up, 7 p.m. Eastern, Vegas Golden Knights, 11-5-2, 3-3-2 on the road. Ottawa Senators, 8-9-1, 5-3-1 at home. Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. I heard the wager detective was on the Leafs last night. I was on Golden Knights, and the second period was just so dominant for the Golden Knights that I live bet the Golden Knights as well at plus 180, and that blew up my face as well. Joseph Wall was spectacular. I mean, he was in position in every play. There really was never any like close call. Like, he was just completely in control at the Ottawa Senators. So here, this is something important, you guys. JW, the Bruins are now minus 130. And it's not Swayman. So JW says Ottawa smash spot.
I'll tell you what. I'll say this right now. Boston minus 130 to minus 140 right now with Korpisalo in net is a hell of a lot of a better bet than Boston minus 170 earlier with potentially Swayman in net. That's the way I see it.
No, that's legit and fair. Here with this Vegas Ottawa spot, I have not sent in a bet that my dad's made in so long. And it's not because I'm fading him necessarily. It's just he's making these public bets that I don't agree with. I just don't agree with him. I'm not fading him. I just don't agree. He's just a public bettor in NFL is going to lose in the long run. And, he has demanded a $300 bet on Saturday night, whatever the line is, as soon as the line comes out, on the Ottawa Senators against the Vancouver Canucks. He's very angry with how Rick Tocchet has handled the JT Miller situation. And we're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on with JT Miller. But not only am I going to send in this bet for my dad, I'm going to move on it as well. And I'll probably move on the minus one line. So this is a very interesting spot. I don't want Ottawa to win. If Ottawa smashes the Golden Knights, like JW says, I'm not going to be on. I'm just going to send in the bet for my dad and not bet it. If Vegas wins this game, which I was very close to betting, I was so close to betting Vegas in the over because Vegas was just so, they were outplaying Toronto badly and were shut out. And I was thinking, Bobano's going to be on the first period over and Andy over, and I like it. I like both of those spots, and I came very close.
Play, of course, you already know what I like in this game. What I'm going to say in a few minutes.
It's been working. Slatsy says Vegas 9-1 last 10 versus Senators, and shout out to Rich H, now a member of Pub Sports Radio. Our guy Rich H, love it. Thank you, my man. Love having you with us. That means you can also do our Thursday Cappers Contest show. Thursday Cappers Contest show today, hosted by Jose Buquette and myself at 3 p.m., where we vote for Circa Millions card. And Randall Sheffield with the $5 dono to bless our action. It's all falling into place. Thank you guys for your support. And Cody Norton also earlier in the show. It means so much to us. Thank you guys. Let's roll here. Ilya Samsonov versus Linus Ullmark. And again, I'm close to Vegas. I'm close to backing Vegas here. And almost all my action is at the end of this card. So I have a lot of filling in to do, which I haven't done yet. Waiting for this to load up on the line history. It's not happening right now. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. So we'll get Bobano to give the line history. My site is down here for a second, but I'll pull it back up I'll try to pull it back up. But Vegas power play 32%, penalty killing 76.9%. Yes, I don't like the power play without Mark Stone on it. And to a lesser, respect, Victor Olofsson was brought there to score goals on the power play, and they're both hurt. Nicholas Haig and Ben Hutton are hurt as well. Two defensemen. Now they still have depth on defense, and the white cloud hit last night on Matthew Nyes. He did leave his feet a little bit, but that's just a game changer. Those are hits you want on your team. That's a defenseman you want on your team. White Cloud's playing at such a high level. Vegas penalty killing though at 76.9%. Ottawa power plays being great all year, 26.7%. Penalty killing 77.4%. Vegas, of course, on the second half of back-to-back. They only outshot Toronto 31-26. It felt like more, and maybe I was just so angry, losing my pregame bet and then betting them live during the second period. The Senators coming up their third straight loss, 5-2 at home to the Oilers. the Oilers are getting out hit game in and game out, and the Senators out hit them 35-17. The Senators are a healthy group. I can understand why JW says smash spot, but I don't want to fade the Vegas Golden Knights after getting shut out last night when they outplayed the opposition. So maybe Bobano can bring some clarity to this spot. Take it away, Bobano. Golden Knights, Ottawa Senators.
Well, at this price, I could only take Vegas. I'm not laying minus 160 with Ottawa. Supposed to be a get-well spot for Ottawa after getting shut out by Carolina. Edmonton rolls in there, beats them like a drum 5-2. And Edmonton, by the way, was on a back-to-back, too, because they played, I believe, the night before against Montreal. So who's to say that Vegas can't get well on a back-to-back against this Ottawa team, just like Edmonton did? So I might move on Vegas, but it's not going to be an official play. The official play, because it's clearly what I like most in this game by far, and that's the system play. First period over, 1.5 minus 136. Full game over as well. I think we can get 6 actually in this with the lay a little juice, but I'd rather have the 6 than the 6.5. But bottom line is this angle's been great. It's a shutout loss angle. It's 26-14. On the season for the first period over. It's 23-14-3 for the full game over. Last night it didn't come through with Nashville-Seattle, but I didn't feel great about that going into it. I had that feeling. That was one spot I didn't really love it, but you have to bet it if you believe in the system, and it's been great. So we still had to go there. But obviously Vegas off the shutout loss. So we're back to it here tonight. These games have been going first period over, full game over at a pretty good clip, as I mentioned, for teams off a shutout loss. So over 1.5 minus 136 first period, and over 6 minus 130 for the full game over.
Over 6 at minus 130. I mean, I watched every second of that game. I watched every second of the Kings Sabres game after. Well, I guess I'm listening to most of it. I only watch sort of the power plays, or when I'm looking for a goal. I'm trying to work, so I just listen to the game. And I thought about your overs here. I'm astonished at this line move. This opened up Ottawa minus 126. They're now minus 155. You know what's even crazier than that?
Yeah, I'm going to be on Vegas at some point. 100%.
You know what's crazier than that, though, Bobano, is 365.
Yeah.
When this line opened up, it was Ottawa minus 115, Vegas minus 105.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just an astonishing. Now, Rich H says, Ottawa given to get your shit together, get ready for someone important to be traded. You know what? Anything that their coach
people
does.
Not like Ilya Samsonov this much, because Ilya Samsonov is going to start tonight.
Yeah, Samsonov, who's not being, well, he isn't being horrific, but he's not being good. Travis Green, their coach, is not someone who gets you revved up, doesn't do anything. This guy is just even keel. Puts you to sleep. I mean, I don't. But I will say, shout out to the Pipe Layer, a member of Weeby Pub and gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership. Our guy Whack Prescott getting it. Join us for our Cappers contest show at 3 p.m. Eastern today. And thank you, Pipe Layer. Thank you guys for your support of the channel. It means so much to us. So this line's insane. I'm going to leave these question marks up here. I don't know what to do with it. So,
well, that's the thing. The line's insane. You like Vegas, but you're also, I know historically, you don't love going against these kind of big moves like this.
It's not even that as much as the Senators have lost 3 straight.
Yeah.
And it's also,
it feels like a back against the wall spot for Ottawa. It does a little bit.
And then we have a Vegas team that is banged up.
Yeah.
And you can tell Stone's not out there on the power play.
Why Vegas? I'll bet it, but it's not official on the show for me. Exactly. It's a pizza bet compared to the overs.
Yeah, I might get to Vegas too. Nut Flush asking about the team total for the Golden Knights. Let's just take a quick look at it here. The team total right now is 2.5 at minus 144. So yes, you could definitely build a 3. That seems like a pretty good way of handling things as well. Okay, let's move on. Next up, 7 p.m. Eastern, New York Islanders 7-7-5, 5-4-3 on the road at the Detroit Red Wings 7-9-2, 3-4-1 at home. We're at Little Caesars Arena, Detroit, Michigan. Look, I'm very impressed with what Patrick Waugh has done with this downtrodden, beaten up Islanders team on this road trip. It's been really, really impressive. Really impressive. So, they're just beaten up. you take 2/3 of their first line out, Matthew Barzal and Anthony Duclair. So they're just creating no offense, none. And then Adam Pelech. I love Pelech. I love Pulock and Pelech. I think they're great, tough, strong, stay-at-home defensemen. You take him out of the lineup and Mike Riley, and yet they're playing well. Their power plays at 12.3%. It's just going to get worse. Penalty killings at 67.5%. It's very weak. In fact, the penalty killing for both these squads is so weak that I'm not on, that I haven't bet the under in a game where I really like the under. Ilya Sorokin, 4-4-3, 2.70 goals against average, 913 save percentage. Alex Lyon, 2-4-0, 3.14 goals against average, 903 save percentage. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll use we'll start with the money line here. The Red Wings have gone from plus 102 to plus 125. I mean, Bobano's right. I shouldn't say I'm not as concerned about going up against market moves in NHL as I am in other sports, but these are huge moves. And I can explain both of them, right? I can explain both of them. So, and now you're getting huge value on both Vegas and Detroit. And the reason why I'm happy I haven't bet this is because you know what would have happened? As soon as I talked about that line move in Vegas, if I'd already bet this, I would have just started to sweat. That's how I handle. I start dripping. I get the flop sweats. And then as soon as I would have just calmed down for a second, I would have looked at this line and started dripping once again. I just out of that, the flop sweats and the embarrassment, I'm happy I haven't moved on this. This total opened up at 6. It dropped down to 5.5 for a cup of coffee between 8 and 9 a.m. and it's back at 6, minus 113 to the under, plus 101 to the over. It really hasn't moved. So let's talk about the spot. Islanders come in off their second straight loss, a 2-1 shootout loss at Calgary on Tuesday. Final game of a 5-game road trip. God, I want to fade them so badly in this spot, and I want to fade them so badly in this spot. Red Wings come off being swept on the three-game portion of their California road trip. They lost to Anaheim 6-4, Los Angeles 4-1. Then they fell to San Jose in overtime 5-4 on Tuesday, and I was on Detroit. Shout out to Mikey Money, who was on San Jose, and it was 4-3 Detroit in the third period. I was like, I'm going to get this. This is God. I don't see how I don't bet Vegas and Detroit at these numbers. Should I just stay off out of fear of the market? This one I think I bet for sure. And then the total going under. I mean, do we not trust the Red Wings defensively so much here? Bankroll Spence. I'm only doing shows 2 days a week here with Betting with the Bag right now. So, we want Daryl to be involved, but there's just not many shows here for him right now. We don't have an NBA show. So, but we love Daryl. Daryl's our guy, and I'll be in touch with him. We love Daryl. And shout out to Lucky Lefty. Amir's birthday today. Says Tata spoils this boy. 6-year-old with brand new PlayStation. Wow. A shout out to Amir, man. And what a great family you have, Lucky Lefty. So the question is, what of these Detroit Red Wing games, and we'll move on to the next one on the board, but what of these Detroit Red Wing games, which of these spots can we trust them defensively? Because the Islanders just aren't scoring, and they're not creating dangerous chances. You take Duclair and Barzal off. Look what they've scored 3 goals in their last 2 games. Now they put 5 in against Vancouver, and they started that trip with that 4-3 overtime loss at Edmonton. They were sort of scoring, but I just feel like they're a battered down group right now. So let's just go to the last games that Lyon has started, because Talbot has got quite a bit of run. Because remember, I told you guys, back the Kraken every time Joey Decord's in net. And I've got this messed up thing with Nashville right now, and I stayed off that game. But of course, Seattle took care of business, and Decord had his first shutout of the year. So, I mean, look at Lyon. He's allowed 17 goals in his last 3 starts. And who did he shut out? The New York Islanders in his last start. He shut them out. And I guess this huge market move is because Alex Lyon's been so bad the last little while. Oh, God. I've got a cab. This is going to take longer here for me. I mean, do we expect Lyon to bounce back here? That one game against Winnipeg was at home. I guess there's no real harm and getting crushed by Winnipeg. But the Ducks scored 5 goals against them. The Sabres scored 4 goals against them. That Jets was his only home game. Oh, has he played one home game, one start? He's had one start. No, he has not. He's only had one start at home, and that was against the Jets. Bobano, take it away for us. Islanders, Red Wings.
System play. I have to do it. I don't want to back Detroit, but I have to here. Teams after losing to San Jose is the system. 4-1 this season. We've had 5 examples so far. Teams playing a game after losing to the San Jose Sharks in their previous game. They've won the next game 4 of the 5 times. Something about losing to San Jose, it's like a slap in the face. It's like a wake-up call. Why we're losing to San Jose now? I think that's kind of the mentality teams have when they lose to a team like the Sharks, who are consensus one of the worst teams in the NHL. So this has been something I've been looking into and tracking. And other than Columbus losing to Los Angeles, they're the only team to lose after losing to San Jose. But Columbus is, one of the weaker teams. We think Detroit's at least a little bit better. And the decent to good teams are the teams that have been winning their next game after losing to San Jose. Plus, the Islanders are beatable right now. Like, the Islanders are very much banged up on the blue line still. They're struggling offensively at the last couple of games. Their goaltending from both guys, Sorokin and Varlamov's been up and down. Detroit is obviously, Derek Lalonde's on thin ice. That was an ugly road trip, losing to Anaheim, LA, and San Jose, blowing the lead against Anaheim as well, losing in overtime to San Jose. There's not a lot to be excited about with this Detroit Red Wings team right now, but the system says this bet on teams after San Jose has been good. It makes sense to me. 4-1 so far this season, so I'm on Detroit, plus 125.
Don't you want to fade the Islanders on the final game of a 5-game road trip?
I don't want to take Detroit. It's not that I don't want to fade the Islanders. I don't want to take Detroit right now. There's that much concern right now with their overall game.
Yeah,
especially defensively right now. But the system's been good. It makes sense. Losing to San Jose can be that, we got to get our ass in gear type of wake-up call. So, yeah, I'll take Detroit here, plus 125.
I want to join you here. I've got to sit with these 2 games. I've got to sit with them. I don't want to just hem and haw here on the show. We got too much work to do. Let's roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Carolina Hurricanes 13-4-0, 6-3-0 on the road at New Jersey Devils 12-7-2, 4-3-2 at home. We're at Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Spencer Martin 1-1 on the year. Look, we've seen enough of Spencer Martin. He's coming off a shutout. Look, he's a serviceable 3rd or 4th goaltender. He can come in at times, but don't ask him to do too much. And he's got a phenomenal hockey team in front of him. But, he's had one terrible game and one phenomenal game. What are you going to get here? Jacob Markstrom between the pipes for the Devils. Again, tell me if I got any of these wrong. Hooked these up last night. 8-5-1, 2.58 goals against average, 907 save percentage, 1 shot. That's who he is. He's just an average goaltender. Don't expect anything more from Markstrom. He's just average. Carolina power play 23.3%, penalty killing 85.7%. New Jersey Devils 28.6% power play, 84.5% penalty killing. The big thing here is, yes, by the way, guys, Drake taking care of business early. Bobano moved on Drake. I know a lot of you guys in the chat.
Miami hasn't played anybody. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I like Miami, but they're going to get better or later in the season. Although a lot of time left, so we haven't won anything yet.
No, but nice start. So let's get into the line history here. I was saying the big important things, Timo Meier and Brett Pesce. They're both day-to-day with supposedly minor injuries, but may not be available. That's crucial. Huge information. Of course, Seth Jarvis remains out with the upper body injury. He's not coming back here for the Hurricanes, and he has hurt them offensively, not being there. So with the total is a 6 minus 113 to the over. God, I remember it wasn't too long ago that a Devils Carolina game at 6, I would just run to bet the under. That is no longer the case here, and I'm having problems again with this. So I want to find out the line history. It's just not coming up here. I'll switch back. I had switched back, so I'll have to do that again. See if they'll give me the money line movement here. We have New Jersey minus 106. Yeah, they're not giving me either. So I'll get back to that. Take it away, though, for us here. Devils coming off the 4-0 loss at Tampa on Saturday night. That came on the heels of the Devils outscoring the Panthers 10-3 in Florida over 2 games in 3 nights. Hurricanes are on the second half of a back-to-back after beating the Flyers 4-1 at Philly last night. Take it away, Bobano. Devils, Canes.
Yeah, Philly's Carolina's just been absolutely phenomenal here as of late. Kochetkov solid in the victory last night, 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. New Jersey hasn't been great at home. I always rather back Jersey on the road. 8-4, they're only 4-5 at home. They are off the shutout loss. This is system play, obviously. Now, look, I'm going against some strong under trends. Series history's trended under. Carolina's trending under in recent games, but the system's the system. You know, we got the Devils off a shutout loss. The numbers have been great all year. What is it? 26-14, as I mentioned, first period over, 23-14-3 with the full game over for the teams off a shutout loss. Just got to bet it. If you believe in it and it's been working, you got to take it, even in situations where there's a lot of things that point to under with these two teams specifically. So we're on the system, over 1.5, minus 124 first period, over 6, minus 114. So we're on both of those here in this Hurricanes and Devils game. Looks like it could be Martin because Kochetkov was in last night. So I don't know if Rod Brindamore is going to run Kochetkov out there 2 nights in a row. Should be Markstrom here for New Jersey. I've been cashing Carolina team total over 3.5 quite a bit. And because they have scored 4 goals or more, I'm going to bet it, Jimmy. I don't even on a back-to-back. It's been something I've been taking consistently, and they have scored 4 goals or more now, the Hurricanes, 10 of their last 11 games coming into tonight. And so New Jersey's going to look to bounce back offensively for sure when they're coming off a shutout. And I'm sure defensively they'll want to play well, but I think the focus for them will be offensively. And you're going to give me over 3.5 at plus 140 here with Carolina's team total. I'm going to take that. 10 of the last 11 games. So I will tack on Hurricanes team total over 3.5 plus 140 as well.
Plus 140 is crazy.
10 of the last 11, they've scored at least 4 goals.
Also, there's been a 10-cent move towards the Hurricanes. If I don't mention the book, you probably know from my history what book I'm talking about. At BetMGM, there's been a 15-cent move to the Hurricanes. So,
oh my gosh, it goes back further. Oh my gosh, I said 10 of 11. It's better than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the last 13. They've scored at least 4 goals.
Wow. This total actually opened up at a 6.5. And dropped down to 6, up this back to 6.5, and then
let's do that. Actually, that Bet Rivers Crystals, and I see it there now. Minus 106 price for over 3 with the Carolina team total, just in case they only get 3. Just and I don't mind laying minus 106. It's a good price.
Yeah, and Crystal Craig got it as well.
Good find there. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to roll on from that spot. Let's roll on to 7 p.m. Eastern. Colorado Avalanche 10-9-0, 4-3-0 on the road. The Washington Capitals 13-4-1, 7-2-1 at home. Capital One Arena, Washington, D.C. Well, part of the reason my record is bad is because of my fading the Washington Capitals so often and blowing up in my face. And my whole plan was to do it here until Ovechkin got hurt. And if you've watched this Capitals team, you know that they have character. They have players playing on this team that have moved, like the Chikorians and other guys who have been galvanized by this move, under Carberry. And I think that they come together here. Now, I'm not fading the Avalanche. I don't want to fade the Avalanche. My whole plan was to be all over Colorado here, but I can't do it because I do think Washington will come together early with Ovechkin being out. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Oh my God, this is just every single book is. This one doesn't, every line history spot. This one doesn't even have. Oh, there we go. Okay, they've put it up here. Okay, so let's go over the line history here from a line move standpoint. We've had this go from the Capitals at plus 120 to 130. The Avalanche gone from minus 135 to minus 144. This total is stuck at 6.5. There's been 7 cents of movement towards the under. Yes, Ovechkin's out. Ovechkin's week to week. He's going to be out for a while. Mel says, I'm on Connor McMichael first. He's on IR. Connor McMichael first score at 16-1. Wow. Said for the kid who just torched the same Avs team for 2 goals 6 days ago. A lucky lefty on the Capitals first period money line. I get that as well. We have Georgiev 4-5-0, 3.56 goals against average, 863 save percentage. No shutouts. Going up against Charlie Lindgren 5-4-0, 2.59 goals against average, 900 save percentage. Colorado power play 30.7%. Their penalty killing has struggled at 73.5%. Washington power play 16.4%. It's improved quite a bit. It got off to a horrible start. Their penalty killing 87.7%. Colorado got their 4-game Eastern road trip off to a winning start, defeating the Flyers 3-2 at Philadelphia on Monday night. It was their 4th win in 5 games. What am I going to do with the Avalanche when they go down to Florida? I mean, that's tough games to cap. The Capitals coming off their 3rd straight win, defeating Utah 6-2 in Salt Lake City on Monday night. It was a costly victory as they lost Ovechkin in the IR week to week. He joined Sonny Milano on the IR. Ovechkin's leading the NHL in goals, 15. It's the most he scored through 18 games ever in his career. I mean, this guy is just such a monster, 868 goals. That's the other thing that's become so phenomenal. And we don't see it in record-breaking anymore much. But Ovechkin is not only going to be able to break Gretzky's goal record, but do it in less games, possibly. Who would have ever thought that was a possibility? What a monster he is. Mel says Saturday's easy. The Cap Florida team total over. Philly Eagle Flyer on Avs money line. Slate says each of the Caps' last 9 games have gone over 1.5 goals in the first period. So Washington leads the league in goals, 4.33. Only the Jets have more points. I mean, it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. The 3rd best penalty killing percentage in the league. Connor McMichael has 12 goals. He's tied for 5th in the NHL. 11 even strength goals. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, he's 1 behind the league leader, Leon Draisaitl. And then, Protas is a gift from the gods, 6'6" scorer. He's shooting 24.1%. I mean, even Dylan Strome is 20.7%. They're both phenomenal right now. They outscored Colorado, Vegas, and Utah 16-6 on a 3-game trip. And another thing about Ovi, which makes him so spectacular, he's only missed 59 games in his 20-year NHL career. And the Capitals are just 26, 29, and 4 in those games. This is going to hurt them long term. I just trust their character tonight, but I don't ever want to bet them. I'm just so take it away, Bobano. And I don't want to fade the Avalanche here. Take it away, Bobano. Avalanche Capitals.
So I don't know if I'm going to make Washington official, okay? But I like the angle of Ovechkin first game out, and everyone steps up. We see it over and over and over again. And the price is awesome because of Ovechkin's injury. You're getting plus 130 at some spots to take Washington. So I will have some Washington in pocket, but I'm going to go full over bifecta here, over first period, over full game. This is not a system play. This is just, I think we're going to see goals tonight, and especially I think Colorado. It was 6-3 for them in Washington last year. They're healthy. There's going to be some money to be made with some Colorado overs moving forward. And I think you're going to, and Washington's just been an over machine, and the stats don't lie. 9 straight first period overs. They're on a consecutive full game over streak. Now, Ovi was a big part of this offense, of course, with everything he's done. And how is his absence going to affect Protas and Strome, who are so good on that line with him? That's a question. Are you going to be able to still get Connor McMichael? Can he keep doing what he's doing? You've got other guys really play well offensively for them. So that's going to be the question. I like over bifecta here. Over 1.5 minus 132 is the best price there. Over 6.5 minus 102 is the best price for the full game over. I'm going to have a small Washington bet, but I think I'm going to leave that one on the sidelines.
Yeah, I get it. Makes sense. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern. Tampa Bay Lightning 10-6-1, 4-5-0 on the road at the Columbus Blue Jackets, 7-9-2, 5-3-0 at home Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Vasilevsky was listed, but it's possible that he won't be in the lineup. He won't be in between the pipes. Do we have that information yet, Bobano?
I will double check that right now, but you're right. I think this is definitely a spot where I could see John Cooper resting Vasi against what's a perceived lesser team. We'll see if that is indeed the case tonight. No confirmation yet, though, still. Merzlikins for Columbus.
Moose Leakins 4-5-1, 2.72 goals against average, 905 save percentage, 1 shutout. Tampa Bay 18.5% power play, 78.2% penalty killing. Columbus 16.3% power play, 80.7% penalty killing. Lightning coming off their third straight win, 3-2 in overtime at Pittsburgh on Tuesday. Nick Paul's day-to-day. He's been an important piece to the puzzle. The Jackets come in off their second win in 3 games, winning at Boston 5-1 on Monday. The Jackets win was the final straw that cost Jim Montgomery his job. Let's get into the line history for this one. We have move over here for Tampa, Columbus. On the money line, we have Columbus opening up plus 135 to now plus 145. But that's a wrong book to look at. Let's look at this book. So Columbus gone from plus 152 to plus 157. Tampa's gone from minus 174 to minus 175. So there's been no movement. On the total, this is stuck at 6.5, but it opened up as a pick'em, and now the under is plus 107. So there's been 13 cents of movement towards the over. Satsi says that Bolts 8-2 last 10 versus the Jackets. Bolts have scored 4 more in all 8 wins. I mean, it kind of harkens back to that shock sweep when the Lightning won the President's Trophy and they were swept in the first round by the Jackets, years ago. Not too many years ago. Take it away for us, Bobano. Lightning, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. But it's all about. I'm waiting on this. I won't move until I see. If it is Johansson, I'm going to be tempted to take the Jackets, quite honestly, in this spot. Getting a big plus price. I mean, for Tampa Bay, they're off the comeback against Pittsburgh in overtime. They have Dallas, Colorado, and Washington up next. Okay, those are all bigger games, better opponents, where focus will be required than Columbus. I mean, that is a great big 3 games coming up. Stars, Avs, and Capitals back to back to back for Tampa Bay following this game. So is the focus going to be there, for this Blue Jackets team who's coming off, albeit Boston, the last game with Montgomery, they were horrible. But still, you got to give Columbus some credit, 5-1. They beat Pittsburgh 6-2 the last time they were in this building. Now Tampa Bay has won 8 of the last 10, 5 of the last 6 as well versus this Blue Jackets team. But one of the wins was in Columbus 4-2 a couple of years ago. Like I say, I'm not moving on this yet. We'll see who's going to be in net for the Lightning tonight. The Columbus team total is definitely even more interesting, as Maiden Philly says in the chat. I am interested in that Columbus team total tonight, which is 2.5 at around minus 140. But I'm going to wait to see who's in net for Tampa.
Yeah, it all makes sense. I don't find it does feel like you know what? It does feel like Lightning are going to take care of business here after they were playing so well when they got point back. They started rolling again, and then they didn't look that good. I mean, obviously,
that good against Pittsburgh, but still found a way to win. Yeah,
still found a way to win down 2-0 with 10 minutes left in that game. Yep. So maybe it is just a Lightning spot. But if that's the case, we do need to know who is in net in case we get a better number on Columbus. Is Columbus going to come back to earth after that 5-1? Now they are 5-3-0 at home. Yep. This didn't appeal to me too much earlier. I don't know why it would now. And I do have action coming up here shortly, but let's move on. 8 p.m. Eastern, San Jose Sharks 6-10-4, 2-6-3 on the road at St. Louis Blues, 8-11-1, 4-6-0 at home, Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. We have Yaroslav Askarov making his NHL debut. Is that still confirmed that Yaroslav Askarov will be in between the pipes?
I expect it. I definitely expect this to be his NHL debut tonight for the San Jose Sharks, because obviously with their goaltending situation right now, they're without Vanacek. They had to go to Blackwood, obviously, last night against Dallas. So I fully expect Yaroslav Askarov to make his debut tonight.
He's looked so good with the Barracuda. Of course, 11th overall pick in the 2020 draft, gotten fights with Trotz, demanded to be traded, and got his wish. And this kid could be very good. 22 years old, 6'4". So going up against Jordan Binnington here. Binnington 5-8-1, 3.19 goals against average, 887 save percentage, no shutouts. Both middling power play. San Jose 16.7%, but they're penalty killing decent, 81.1. St. Louis power play 15.2, penalty killing 77.8. St. Louis opened up at minus 240, now minus 220. So there's been a move towards the San Jose Sharks. On the total, this is stuck at 6. It really hasn't moved much, but like a 3-cent move towards the under. We have the Sharks coming off this second night of a back-to-back after falling 5-2 at Dallas last night. The game was closer than the score indicates. I mean, the Dallas scored 2 empty net goals in the last minute and 20 seconds. The Sharks out-hit the Stars 28-20. But Michael Granlund is day-to-day with an upper body injury. He left the game after a high hit, so he's in concussion protocol. Nico Sturm's already out. So this team just does not have enough depth to lose Nico Sturm and Michael Granlund. The Blues coming off their second straight loss, falling 4-2 at home to the Wild on Tuesday. They've been playing without Nick Leddy and Philip Broberg, and now Pierre-Olivier Joseph is out. He's day-to-day dealing with lower body injury. But, now they got Robert Thomas back, but I do not want to ever have the Blues at this price. But now, do I leave the Sharks alone because Granlund? And I probably do. Take it away, Bobano, Sharks Blues.
I'm very tempted by San Jose in this spot to go swimming with the Sharks here once again tonight, but I'm going to wait to see who's in net for the San Jose Sharks. If it is Askarov, I'll be interested. I must admit, they give St. Louis problems. They really do. I mean, you look at recent meetings. Last year, they swept St. Louis. They won both games. They won in San Jose against St. Louis, and then they actually shut out the Blues in this building in St. Louis 4-0 last year. And that was an all-time worst Sharks team last year. As well. And then, of course, opening night this year in San Jose, it ended up being 5-4 in overtime for the St. Louis Blues. And that's the game Macklin Celebrini got injured. San Jose had that great start. Who knows what happens if he doesn't leave that game due to injury? San Jose might have won. And then you'd be talking about San Jose 3-0 the last 2 years against St. Louis. So I've got San Jose circled. I will move on them if it is indeed. And I will move on the draw, too, if it is indeed Askarov in net. So San Jose and the draw are circled for me.
Let us know if that is a move here. Let's move on to now. I've got action on the rest of these 3 games. I know I've been very hesitant on the card thus far. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Florida Panthers 12-6-1, 6-3-0 on the road at Chicago Blackhawks, 6-12-1, 2-5-0 at home, United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Bobrovsky versus Mrazek. Mrazek at times has been very good. I still don't believe it. But that's a vividness issue I have with him. 2.79 goals against average, 906 save percentage. Bobrovsky's not been very good this year. 2.98 goals against average, 893 save percentage, 1 shutout. Panthers open up minus 231. They got up to minus 245 at 10:30 this morning. They're minus 238, 7 cents of movement towards them. On the total, this opened up at 6 and moved to a 5.5. 5.5 is only minus 114 to the over, so it's not the biggest move. It just happened about an hour and 8 minutes ago, the move to the under. The Panthers coming off their third loss in 4 games, 6-3 at the Jets on Tuesday. They're a healthy group. They're an angry group. And it's still fun to play in Chicago. It's not like going into San Jose, where they have 50,000 fans in total. Like, it's fun going to play an original 6 team. The Blackhawks coming off their third straight loss 3-2 at home to Anaheim on Tuesday night. I'm not a big Seth Jones fan week to week with a foot injury, but he plays a ton and does a lot for them. And now he's off the team. This is a Panthers puck line spot for me after losing to Winnipeg. Chicago is not, I don't believe Chicago is a team you necessarily overlook because it's still fun to play an original 6 team and go down to the United Center. So I am on Florida minus 1.5. I got plus 110. I'd love to know what I would get if I moved on it right this second. I got plus 110 last night. And if I moved on it right now, I would get the plus 105. So 5 cents better. I got 5 cents better. I'll take it. Take it away, Bobano, Panthers, Blackhawks.
Yeah, I have 2 Florida bets here, but I didn't do full game puck line. I did full game team total instead of puck line. So Florida team total over 3.5 minus 112 for the full game. And I'm on a first period puck line minus a half plus 135 with the Florida Panthers as well. There we go. Let's get that Panthers sound going. Yeah, I mean, Chicago stinks. I mean, there's not really much to say right now. And if Connor Bedard is going to be struggling like he is right now, there's no chance for them.
So you get benched in Vancouver in front of his family, in front of his mom and dad and sister. I mean, in front of all
my guy on the ice, guys, Alex B. Smith, diehard Blackhawks fan. He says Luke Richardson can't coach offense. And that is becoming clear as day. There's just too much focus on defense, and there's not enough freedom for people to do what they want to do and showcase their talent and skill with the puck offensively. He's kind of thinking Luke Richardson's hot seat is increasing here a little bit. And I like Luke. Luke's a great guy. Great and good defenseman, good builder of, young people, I think. Good to work with them. But you're right. I think offensively, he's like a dinosaur a little bit when it comes to that part of the game. And I think you're starting to see that here with Chicago. And like I said, unfortunately for Chicago, they get floored off a thumping at the hands of Winnipeg the other night, which won't sit well with them. So, yeah, Panthers first period puck line and team total over.
You got it. You're locked and loaded. And I really don't. We'll move on to Rangers Flames. In NHL, the line movements, I it's not like other sports. And in this one, the line moved towards Calgary. I was like, okay, I'll give me a better line on the Rangers, and I will bet the Rangers. How about that?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I Dustin Wolf is playing phenomenally well. 7-2-1, 2.36 goals against average, 9.25 save percentage. But I just don't think the Flames are that good of a hockey team. Coming off their second straight win, 2-1 at home in a shootout over the Islanders. The Rangers coming in from Vancouver. The Rangers didn't play very well in that 4-3 victory. So I think that they're ready to roll here. I'm also on the under 6. I got the under 6 in this one at -115. So when I moved on the -1, I was getting -146 on the money line and +165 on the puck line. That was a +108. It was a shocking number to me, and I was fine moving on it. Right now, let's move over to right now. It's -150. It's only gone up 4 cents since I bet it. And then on the total, we have a move to the over. I could have waited. This was moving towards the under. That stopped. This is moving towards the over right now. Would have got a much better line had I have waited. Rangers coming up their third straight win, 4-3 at Vancouver on Tuesday night. Heedle day to day. And again, I just don't think the Flames are that good. I'm on the under, and I'm on the Rangers -1. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Scotiabank Saddledome, Calgary, Alberta.
We'll see how he does tonight. If it's Dustin Wolf's been terrific lately for the Calgary Flames, no question, and he's had to be because the team offensively really hasn't been scoring as much here the last few games. Yeah, he is confirmed in net tonight. We should see Igor Shesterkin here for the Calgary Flames, although it's not confirmed, and that's what I'm waiting on. This is quick. I might actually take it. Probably pass if it's Shesterkin, It's Calgary. I'm telling you what, they have actually won 4 straight times hosting the Rangers at the Saddledome as well. So this has actually been a house of horrors for the Rangers over the years. With just the way that goalie's playing, I'm tempted by the big number with Calgary, but I'm waiting to see exactly who's the Rangers are going to go with here tonight in this game. And the one thing that does concern me too about Calgary, and I took them against Nashville, I took them against the Islanders. It's a little bit of a better team that you're dealing with here, obviously. The Rangers are certainly better than a Nashville team that's disappointed, better than an Islanders team that's struggling right now. So I don't know if I'm going to go to the well with Calgary, but I'm leaning in that direction based on a few things that we don't know yet.
Yeah, I Quick's been pretty good this year, but obviously prefer Shesty. But I'm already locked in. I'm on the Rangers -1, the under 6, and I doubled up on this game as well. And I'm shocked the line's not moving with me. Honestly, I could not believe a +135 was available on the Minnesota Wild, against the Oilers. And I know Nurse has a lot of people who don't believe in him and think he makes a lot of mistakes, but he is on the ice a lot. And now
underlean for sure in that Flames game. I agree with that. Yeah.
Oh, I like hearing that. I like hearing that. The Oilers have been using 7 defensemen now too, as well. So you have 11 forwards. Now I don't think you can go with 11 forwards because Hyman and Victor Arvidsson are both hurt. And we heard from Slatsy that Hyman was not at practice on the ice this morning. So I don't think you can use 7 defensemen. I could not. And then the market moving towards Edmonton, I was like, what? How? Why? I thought I was definitely going to get the best line when I moved on it at +135, and then I saw Slatsy get in at +141, and I was surprised. Right now, the money line's +137, so it's come down 4 cents from the +141. I got in at +135. Just, very, very surprised that this isn't the best line available. And I'm also on the over. I'm on the over here. I got the over 6 at -115. During the night, this moved up to 6.5. It was at 6.5 till about 6:30 this morning. It bounced back up to 6.5 again around 9:30 this morning. And look, this isn't just a vividness bias. You could say, look, the last 4 games, while all those games have gone over, Marc-Andre Fleury's not being in. Is he confirmed? By the way, that's a huge piece.
Marc-Andre Fleury. It's no confirmation yet. Gustafsson is the projection, though.
Oh, damn it. Okay, I thought it was going to be Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yep.
Slatsy says, hope it's Gus, but it might be Fleury. Damn, I thought it was going to be Marc-Andre Fleury. So we'll have to, if Gustafson's projected, that's not good. I thought that this was Fleury's spot to play, and he's not been in the game with less than 6 goals scored. But Stuart Skinner is not playing well. Is he in net or is it Pickard?
Skinner. It's Skinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think goals are going to be scored here. Both have very strong power plays. Statistically, not as much as what we expect them to end up at. Minnesota at 20%, Edmonton at 17.3%. MMA locker room moving on. Draisaitl over 2.5 shots on goal. The Wild come in off their second win in 3 games, 4-2 at the Blues on Tuesday to start this 3-game road trip. Zuccarello week to week with a lower body injury, but they have a lot of talent. The Oilers snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 5-2 win at Ottawa on Tuesday. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights and 4th game in 6 nights with constant travel. We've been fading these spots where a team's constantly traveling and dealing with injury. We've been fading them and fading them and fading them. And I'm doing it again here. And I'm even with Marc-Andre Fleury, I felt comfortable at plus 135. So you're going to give me Gustafson? I mean, this doesn't. The Wild are going to step up here tonight to play the Oilers. Take it away, Bobano, our last game on the board in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same 2 bets. Yeah, I like both. I like Minnesota at this price, no doubt. I mean, they played Edmonton tough. They played Edmonton well. They played Edmonton well in this building at Rogers Place. You're getting, very good plus 130, plus 138 at Heritage is the best price right now with Minnesota. So I really like that price. And I like the over too, over 6 minus 114 with the over in this game. 4 straight meetings with these teams in Edmonton. No fewer than 6 goals. So I think push worst case scenario tonight with Wild and Oilers. And this reminds me of, I love the over spots with Detroit and San Jose earlier this week. San Jose was coming off a very long road trip back home, and it was a sloppy game. It was turnovers. It was not very good defensive coverage, either team in that game. I could see something similar here tonight, even though Minnesota is very capable at the defensive end. They've shown that. Edmonton with the injuries, Darnell Nurse. People brag on Darnell Nurse, but they miss him. They do. And I think there's going to be games where they're going to be giving up goals. So I'm with you here. Minnesota and the over. Both.
Locked and loaded here. We are right together on that one. You got slightly better lines than me, plus 138, minus 114. Let's review all action. Bobano, I know you've got to go. Can we keep you for NFL?
10 minutes I got. So we'll go through those 2 games.
NFL. We can just hear if you have a look on the college football game. But we can handle that with Daby Cab. We'll cap the college football game with Daby Cab. Let's review all NHL action here. Bobano on the Bruins, first period minus half, plus 172. Full game minus 130. First period over 1.5, minus 114. I'm off. Bobano on the first period over 1.5 in Vegas, Ottawa, and over 6 and minus 130. I want Vegas. I'm interested in Vegas, and I'm interested in Detroit. I'm going to get there. I probably get there on both. I just think they're too big dog. They shouldn't be this big of dogs. Bobano on Detroit plus 125. Bobano on the first period over 1.5. The over 6 in Carolina, team total over 3 in Hurricanes Devils. He's on the first period over 1.5. Full game over 6 in Colorado Washington. Then I'm starting to get interest in Lightning minus 1. I want to see who's in net. I'm not bullish on it. I may stay off of it. Sharks Blues was a stay off for both of us. I'm on the Florida Panthers minus 1.5 plus 110. I would say that's my favorite look on the NHL board. I guess risk reward, the Wild is better, but slightly. But I think, no, this is the best bet. The Florida Panthers puck line at plus 110 or plus 105 is the best bet on the board. Bobano Panthers team total over 3.5. First period minus a half at plus 135. I'm on the Rangers on the minus 1 line at plus 108 and the under 6 at minus 115. I like both of them. This line's going against me on the total. I'm on the Wild plus 135 and the over 6 at minus 115. Bobano's on the Wild plus 138 and the over 6 at minus 114. Let's move on to the NFL Thursday Nighter. Join us for the live stream tonight. It's going to be very fun. A storied rivalry between the Steelers and the Browns. And, of course, the most important thing in this one happens to be weather. So let's go to the Cleveland weather report right now, because the way I had studied it, this was supposed to stop snowing by game time. And that is, wow. It turns into full rain and 40 Fahrenheit. Wow. So I guess it will be going from rain to snow right around game time. but this is a full rain spot during the game. As snow at 7 p.m. A very interesting situation, and wind, dealing with wind. So we've seen this total just drop heavy. Let's go into the action, but the wind does die down. That's another kind of thing that's important. But I mean, it dies down to 11 miles per hour. It's not that big of a deal here. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow for the Thursday nighter. And I'm coming off a big week, 8-2 in NFL, starting to gain confidence here. Let's get into the line history. This is one of those things where, and we talked about it on our show, the sharps are all over the Browns. And I couldn't get there. I couldn't press the button. I couldn't get there. Right now you want Pittsburgh -3.5, -101. You can get yourself Pittsburgh -3 if you want. I mean, it's the VIG's going away on the Steelers. So the line, and it's just, and if you go, when I went on to the Yahoo for my pool, that was 85% were backing the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's just in our industry, everybody backing the Browns. This opened up at 40. It dropped down to 36. It's sitting right now at 37. So we've gone up from that 36.5. That's interesting. Let me just check what's 365. 365 opened it at 40.5, was bouncing at 36, 36.5, 36, and moved it again to 37, and then back to 36.5. Still a move towards the under, a big one to the under. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot here on our Thursday nighter. We have 74% of the tickets on the Steelers and 77% of the cash, but the line keeps moving towards the Browns. 83% of the tickets, 64% cash on the over. Bruce Cotney looked like the over 35. That's what you got, but he did retract the statement. But I'd love to know, Bruce, what you got. Thank you for joining us, Bruce. My breakdown is on our channel already. I'm not going to sit here and go over it again. What we want to hear is Bobano's action. I can tell you this, though, that Troy Torrance moved on a Steelers money line under 44.5 SGP, a -105. Steelers money line under 44.5 for Troy Torrance. Take it away for us, Bobano. Steelers, Browns, Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, I can't bet Cleveland. I can't. But I've been around the block long enough betting NFL football and Pittsburgh Steelers games to know that Mike Tomlin off a physical game like that on Sunday against Baltimore, now on the road as a favorite of more than a field goal, is not the price range I want Pittsburgh either. So it's, for me, unfortunately, I hate to be dull, but for me, it's side and total. It's a pass. The weather's too much of a concern. Pittsburgh can go over, can go under. Cleveland, same thing. If their offense is as bad as it's been at times the last couple weeks, I could see it staying under. But then again, Jameis Winston at home did have also that one great game against Baltimore. So the total to me is up in the air. So it's unfortunate that I'm here on a game where I probably have a very no opinion much at all, but that's where we're at. There is one prop that I will make official, though. George Pickens over 55.5 receiving yards, -110. I think this makes a lot of sense. This pass defense has gotten worse for Cleveland by the week, and it's gotten worse, especially over the last few weeks. They've fallen to damn near 29th, 30th as far as passing grade is concerned. This Browns secondary, it's really struggled. And Russell Wilson has gotten to the point with George Pickens. It's like, just throw the ball anywhere in his area. I have confidence he can make the play and win a one-on-one battle down the field for the football. So I'm definitely liking the number that we're getting on Pickens. I know the weather is a bit of an X factor here. Hopefully it's not too bad as far as negating the passing attack, but the number's good. Teams have been feasting at receiver against Cleveland the last couple, so George Pickens should be no different. So George Pickens for Pittsburgh over 55.5 receiving yards.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. I'm just going to be live action for me, although there is an SGP I thought about and I'm working on. I don't know if I get to the window. Nasty on the Steelers and under teaser. Truth Teller says, with the weather like this, 17-7 type game. Blue numbers on Cleveland. Rod's wacky liking the over. Bruce Cotney got that over at 35.5. Philly Eagle Flyer on Steelers money line and the under 41.5. Truth Teller got the under 37. And we have a Cleveland plus 2.5 and Winston over 225 passing yards, both alt lines for our guy Jermaine. We will break down this college football game fully with Daby Cab, but we do have time to hear what Bobano's plan is in NC State Wolfpack, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. 45 Fahrenheit clear, 14 miles per hour with both teams coming off their bye week. We'll break it down fully again with Daby Cab in a second here, but let's hear Bobano's plan of attack.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. We've got NC State's been a little bit better lately. I think the one thing I don't really trust here at the moment with this team is their defense. NC State, they can still give up big points. They can still give up quite a bit of yards. And I think when you look at this NC State defense, they've really started to fall off quite a bit, especially, even against the pass is not always something Georgia Tech goes to. Georgia Tech is definitely one of the better rushing attacks they've probably played. They've faced some weaker ones. So I could see Georgia Tech having a pretty good game offensively here, but I don't know if I trust NC State's offense to be able to match them here for the full 40 minutes, or 60 minutes, I should say, in this game. So I'm going to go Georgia Tech, but go team total with them, 30.5 minus 108. I think they can hit 31 points here against this NC State defense. Home off a bye, primetime game. I like the way they played against Miami. Miami's defense, I think, probably still, even though they've had some holes at times, still a little bit better than NC State. So I like this number here. I think Georgia Tech can hit 31. The problem is it could be 31-20, and that doesn't go over the full game total because I lean to the over, but I like the Georgia Tech team total a little bit more. So over 30.5 minus 108 for the Georgia Tech team total.
Georgia Tech team total. What was that number? Over
30.5.
Over 30.
Minus 108.
Yeah, minus 108. Okay, perfect. That'll give us lots to talk about here with Daby Cab. Bobano, I will review all of your actions, so don't worry about that, and let you get off because I know you have Ice Guys popping off here in a little bit. Star of the Ice Guys, star of Hitting the Books, college football and college basketball breakdowns, and star of the NBA OG show. Thank you for your time, energy, angles, and hard work, Bobano, my friend. Please support Bobano on X at Bobano Bets. Bobano, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Just have a great Thursday night. Lots going on. NHL, NBA, NFL game, college football game, college basketball all day and night. So have at be responsible, okay? And I know, especially with college basketball, I know there's games all day now for the next week. And I'm high volume, so maybe I'm not the best person to be saying this because I bet a lot of games, but I bet a lot of games with the same unit amount. We keep everything in reason. No more than 3% of the bankroll with every bet. So even though I'm high volume, is never more than 3% of your bankroll. Just please, manage your bankroll properly at this time of year when everything's going on at once. That's all I want to really get out across and stress to people right now at this time of year. Jimmy, good luck to you. Good luck to everyone in the chat. We'll see you next time.
There he is, Bobano in the house. Sage advice from our friend Ian Cameron. Res Mob in the house. We have college football and 2 spotlight college basketball games that our next guest is attacking. Star of Medicaid Mondays, as well as star of the Tailgate. Please welcome our friend from Dallas, Texas, our guy, Daby Cab, to the show. Daby, how are you, my man?
Man, Jimmy, vibes are good. Feeling good today. Like I almost said C-Mac. Like Bobano said, we got college basketball in the daytime, college football, NFL. This is it. This is the best time. NHL for you guys that cap NHL. It's the best time to cap sports, man. All I wish is that I could pass this through the screen to you guys in the chat and you, Jimmy, so we could all hit it together and, sweat these bets together. But either way, we're going to get paid today, so I'm excited.
We have a lot of fun, and you have 2 very interesting basketball games that we're going to break down right after this. But let's get into this college football spot. Daby Cab, my man. Again, 45 Fahrenheit clear, but 14 mile per hour winds here. Let's get into the line history. We have a Georgia Tech right now is 9-point favorite. So they opened up at -9, -108. They're now -9, -104. We've had very little movement. In fact, NC State opened +9 to -108. So it's just a change in VIG, from a 6 cents on each side to 8 cents on each side. So NC State right where they started. From a total perspective, we have a 51.5. It's juiced to the under, -115. This is dropped from 52.5. We have a 1-point move towards the under. When we get to the cash flow in this one, we have We'll move over here. We have 55% of tickets, 61% of the cash on NC State. So that's why this line's not moving. On the total, we have 33% of tickets, 43% of cash on this under. Ron Crawford says boots on the ground, Auburn, Alabama on Saturday night. Oh, that's incredible. Absolutely dope, man. Brandon the Great on Njoku anytime touchdown. I will share that here with our cappers on the live stream tonight. Thank you. And wine time on the under 52 at minus 115 here in this one. We just heard Bobano on Georgia Tech team total over 30.5. Wolfpack 5-5, 2-4 in the ACC. The Yellow Jackets 6-4, 4-3 in the ACC. Both teams again coming off the bye week. NC State had their 2-game winning streak snapped in that 29-19 loss at home to Duke. Wolfpack didn't score a touchdown until there were 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Their offense has struggled all year long. They've gone over 30 points once versus a Power 4 team, and that was against Stanford 3 weeks ago. And then we have this very strong Yellow Jacket defense, but they have shown some vulnerability through the air, and that's where CJ Bailey, should have a chance to get some yards in for NC State. Georgia Tech snapped their 2-game losing streak with a big 28-23 win at home over Miami. So again, we have the bye week, so it's not like that immediate spot that you want to fade them, but that is important. And then we have Haynes King, coming out of concussion protocol. We expect him to. He had to leave that game against Georgia Tech early, and they still stepped up. Look, from a momentum standpoint, we know that Georgia Tech has a ton of it right now. But I think NC State is live on this big number, and I can understand why Wine Time is on this under. So take it away for us, Daby Cab, NC State, Wolfpack, Georgia Tech, Yellow Jackets.
I mean, I might talk you into NC State then, because look, if the way I look at this, I mean, Georgia Tech doesn't win football games by 10 points, right? If you look at, the better schools that they've played and the wins that they've had, they're not a team that usually is able to stretch that lead out. And, coming off the Miami win, even with a little bit of a break, and then you've got Georgia next. This is, you could call it look ahead or let down. Like, you're in a shitty situation right here if you're Georgia Tech. And the line's still sitting at -9. So, I mean, that's crazy to me. If I was betting this, it would be NC State on those principles. Just the fact that Georgia Tech's got everything ahead of them, just coming off a big win on Miami. And then NC State, not a very good season. They were ranked to start the year. We saw against that first game against Tennessee, but that was their high point before the season started, because since then it's been downhill. But still sitting at 5-5. I mean, they could get a bowl game. This is a bad game for me, Jimmy, because like I said, this is a terrible spot for Georgia Tech personally if you're looking to back them.
Yeah, I'm not. In fact, from the under standpoint, I kind of, now we just had Bobano give us the team total over 31.5. Was it 31.5 or did he get a 30.5? He got a 30.5. I kind of like them to go under. I think I prefer the under Georgia Tech team total under 31.5 over the full game under, because whenever I like a dog at this number, that always works for me. I think I move on NC State. It's a sort of an ugly duckling situation here. I like what you brought up about the look ahead and the letdown. I think
let's say Georgia Tech has a lead, right? Let's say Georgia Tech, I don't know, let's say they're up by 14 in the fourth quarter. They don't give a shit if NC State makes it a one score, as long as they win this football game, right? Like, they're not looking to cover. Like, they're going to kill this quick as they can and focus on Georgia.
And everybody asking about Haynes King. The idea was that the bye week would allow him to play, but there's been no confirmation of that right now.
He should be.
The line, okay, here, this is the deal, is that somebody would know if he wasn't going to play. Somebody would know. You can't keep that quiet. And if he wasn't going to play, this line would move.
Right.
So in this day and age, I think we can trust that he'll be good to go. He was a game time decision against Miami. I mean, he missed 2 games coming in. I think he plays. DC Capper on the under 51.5, and one time saying 95% sure he's playing. And these guys all on the full game under, and not the Georgia Tech team total under. So I've got to decide. So I'm moving on this game. I'm going to decide. I've got this. If I'm going to go up against Bobano's team total over, I'm going to have to make sure I've got the conviction to do that. But I mean, if I was offering you two different bets, either the full game under or Georgia Tech team total under, so the 31.5 for Georgia Tech team total or the 51.5 or 52, what would you bet? Are you muted?
I'd probably just take the points with NC State if I had a free bet. But I mean, between those two, I guess maybe the under. I don't.
The full game?
Yeah.
Rod Zwacky says this game is on senior night. Going to see 60 plus points, says Rod Zwacky. You know, it's cold and windy, but senior night is a big deal. Rod Zwacky says bet over the total in Georgia Tech games versus poor passing defenses. Allowing completion percentage 58% or worse. The overs record since the 2023 season is 5-0. Okay, well, I'm going to be on NC State. The question is, am I going to go up against either Bobano or Rod Zwacky? And so I'm going to copy and paste these spots here so that I can make sure I have the conviction to do so. I'll pop that here again. Okay. All right. That is the NC State Wolfpack, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. We move back to college basketball for two marquee spots that Daby Cab is moving on. We've also heard from our guy Bobano on both of them. So let's get this all set up and attack. Let me just move this over back to NCAAB. And here we go. Daby Cab's first game in the Bahamas Championship. Number 13th ranked Baylor Bears 3-1 at the St. John's Red Storm 4-0. Baylor has started out their season by taking out Arkansas by 5 points and then, beating up on Sam Houston and Tarleton. For St. John's, they started out by beating up on Fordham and Quinnipiac and Wagner, and then they beat New Mexico 85-71. Both teams played on Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. Yeah. So both teams played on Monday, so similar rest situation. Then they flew down to Nassau. Wager Detective says Wager Detective thinks he's going to go up against this market move towards the under here in this one. Let's get into the line history and then the cash flow here. Let me just quickly move back over to NCAA basketball. And again, we heard Bobano move on Baylor money line at -138. When we get to the line history, we have, here we go. We have St. John right now +2.5 or 3. I'm looking at a 3, but it's heavily juiced to -117. Baylor's gone from -2 at -108 to -2.5 at -109. That was a 1 in the morning, and now -3. But there are 2.5s everywhere else. There's a no vig situation if you want Baylor -3. So a very slight move towards Baylor. When we get to the total for this one, we have 151. There are 152.5s. This just moved to 151 18 minutes ago from 152.5 to 151. So I imagine all the other books will follow suit. This opened up at 153. And when we get to the cash flow, we have sorry about that. Let me just make sure. Okay, here we go, 7 p.m. When we get to the cash flow, we have 39% of the tickets and 45% of the cash on Baylor, line slightly moving towards them. And we have 70% of tickets, 70% cash on the under. Take it away for us, Daby Cab, Baylor Bears, St. John's Red Storm.
Baylor wasn't just beat by Gonzaga. They were embarrassed. It was bad. And everybody saw it. Big game for the first game of the year. But the real story was told in the bounce back in Arkansas, I think, because, there's a lot of transfers, whether you're talking about Roach coming in or Norchad O'Meara coming in from Miami for Baylor, a lot of moving pieces. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get rolling. And against Arkansas, they were at home, so in a comfortable environment. But even though it was a 5-point game, they were ahead by a lot more than that at half. It was not close until the end of the game. Baylor played a complete basketball game, and it was good to see. then you look at, St. John's 3-1 against the spread this season, which is nice. They've been favored in every basketball game that they've played. Their best win against New Mexico last game, 85-71. That's a good win. But everything else, whether you're talking about Wagner, Quinnipiac, just not the same standard. Now, I know Tarleton's not a good team for Baylor, but Arkansas and Gonzaga, Baylor's already been tested, whereas St. John's, in my opinion, hasn't really. Again, New Mexico, a decent win. I understand that. But Baylor is their first real test, and I think highly of St. John's. I think this is going to be a big season for the Red Storm. Lewis Jr., he's leading the team with 17.5 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game. And then you got Richmond leading with assists. They've got players across the board. I just don't think they're there yet with Baylor. I think Baylor is still a step above where St. John's is. And I love Baylor in this spot, especially at the spread. I think it's low because of what happened with Gonzaga. So I think we're getting a little bit of value on Baylor. I took Baylor first half. I took them full game. So I'm all over them.
I like it. I think this makes sense. I really do think this makes a ton of sense. What did you get? Did you tweet this out?
Yes. First half, I took money line at -122, and then full game, it's -2.5, -108.
Full game -2.5 at -108. Baylor first half -122. I'm going to join you guys on Baylor. I think this all makes sense to me. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. We have 10 p.m. Eastern action. Memphis Tigers 3-0 at the San Francisco Dons. Let's get this all set up here. We heard from Bobano already. San Francisco Dons money line at -115. And they played very good so far this year. Both teams, of course, undefeated. Let's get this up here for us, and let's roll. They're calling this a new, not a home game, but that's just because it's at the Chase Center. I mean, it's just still a home game. It's in San Francisco, at least. The Dons have won 4 straight. They were tested by Cal Poly, but we know Cal Poly is good. They beat up on Boise State by 11. They beat up on Long Beach State, and we got an idea of how bad they are by 30. And then they destroyed Chicago State. Destroyed them 82-37. Memphis beat Missouri to get their year started in impressive fashion. Went to UNLV and beat them 80-74, and then dominated the Bobcats 94-70. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Dons. We'll do the total first. 154.5. There's been only a 5-cent move to the over. That's it. 5-cent move to the over. So very little movement on the total. And then on the spread, we have the Dons -2 at -104. The Dons open up at +2.5 and now are at -2. A huge dog to favorite situation. Then we'll get in the cash flow for this. We have 83% of the tickets, 82% of the cash on the under. That's not moving at all. We have 70. Well, we should look at spread and money line, but on the spread, 23% of tickets, 83% of the cash on Memphis. The line's moving away from them. On the money line, 53% of tickets and 72% of cash on Memphis. The line's moving away from them. Take it away for us here. Daby Cab, Tigers, Dons, Chase Center in San Francisco.
That's crazy, man. I don't love the idea of being against Bobano here or the line that I just heard. But I am on Memphis. I've been on Memphis this year twice now. They're 3-0 ATS. I've been on them twice. The same line situation happened in their game against UNLV. Memphis was a favorite, flipped to a dog. They still covered and won. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. Memphis is 0-3 ATS first half, and they're 3-0 full game ATS. So what I'm going to do here might sound a little crazy after saying that, but I'm taking them first half right here in this game. San Francisco hasn't done anything but played at home. Now, they are still basically at home in this tournament, but they're not in their home gym. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different gym, and that's all that matters is they're not at their home gym. This is the first game outside of their home gym, whereas this Memphis team has already traveled, across the country this year, played in different spots, different places. And I think they're ready to rock here in this game early. And I think San Francisco is going to have to catch their feet, even though this is a team, San Francisco, that's got, 7 returning players. They do still have 4 transfers that they're working in here. And the first game on the road is always difficult, regardless of if you're at your home city or not. Traveling to a different gym is what matters. I think the Tigers come out hot here. I got Memphis first half. I took them +1, -110, and that's where I'm at.
Daby Cab has, let's move this over here, Memphis +1 for Dabra Cadabra. Locked and loaded. Yeah, I do find San Francisco appealing here, obviously with the dog to favorite scenario. I'm going to study this a little more here, but I do find that appealing. Bobano got a nice number on the Dons money line that's moving quickly, but I do find the Dons appealing here. And back to the can you switch our heading, Jose, to back to yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know, Memphis, man. So the first game I bet on them, they were down by 14. They came back and won against Missouri. Second bet that I had on them, they were down by 10 in that game in the second half, and they came back and won and covered. There's some dogs, man. Haggerty, he's been just absolutely balling. They got the transfer from Texas also. Like, they got some players. I just want to say that. I think they're one of the most underrated teams right now in college basketball.
No, I'll definitely put more time into it. I want to talk about this spot before just hear your rebuttal, because before I decide to move on Baylor, which was the plan. Morgan Spooner says St. John's +2.5 on my card. They've been playing checkers with these mid-majors. He turned it on for a few minutes against New Mexico and had to silence the gym with his arms. Baylor isn't ready for this. What do you think of what Morgan Spooner's saying in that?
Baylor isn't ready for what?
Well, what the Red Storm are capable of doing.
St. John's is better than Gonzaga and better than Arkansas. I know Gonzaga put it on them, but again, ready for what though? They've already played upper echelon competition.
All right. So no concern.
Not trying to be rude, but that is my rebuttal to it. I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's
yeah. All right, locked and loaded here for Daby Cab. He's on Baylor first half -122, full game -2.5 -108, and he's on Memphis +1 at -110. And I hope to have. I only had Bobano's records all up. I'm a little behind on some records, so I hope to get yours all locked and loaded. But excellent job, Daby Cab. We'll have Daby Cab back in business with us tomorrow, where there'll be a big slate of action from Daby Cab. He'll be coming on after CMAC. Daby Cab can let us know, give us a little idea of what's going on at the tailgate on Saturday.
Absolutely, man. Week 13, Jimmy. It's sad to me how fast it's going by. What, like 3 weeks left now? 2 weeks left in the regular season? God, only 2 weeks? God, it's gone so fast. So week 13, though, we've been killing it. Everybody that's been coming on has been making money. You guys in the chat have been making money. So if you haven't been there, you're missing out. But I love doing this, Jimmy, with you guys in the chat. Even when I rebuttal, who was it? Spooner that I was responding to. I love to hear the other side of it, Spooner, always, regardless how we come across. And Nate, you don't get to say that I am a dick because you're the biggest dick that I know. So you don't get to say that, Nate. But I still love you also. Jimmy, thank you for bringing me up here. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's get paid today, man.
I look forward to it. There he is, Daby Cab. Please support him at Daby Cab. Let's roll into NBA to close out the show. It's been a strong start to the year, although I did lose on the Sixers last night. I did cash on the Sixers +7.5 live, which I thought I was going to lose to. That little flurry late. And then, these things, so much on the line. They're down 6. And, of course, they miss and the rebound. And then are they going to foul? Are they going to foul? Are they just going to run out the clock? It's at 10 seconds. That's just so horrifying. And it's been going okay for me so far this year. But I did take an L on the Sixers yesterday, 13-9 on the season. I really do believe that we can get this cash here working together. And this is a really nice smaller card. And we're not overwhelmed tomorrow either. We have 8 games on the NBA slate tomorrow at wine time. So let's get right to work. We start 7 p.m. Eastern. Detroit Pistons 7-9, 4-4 on the road at the Charlotte Hornets, 5-9, 4-3 at home at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pistons are 22nd in pace this year. This will be today and tomorrow will be the last time I use year-long numbers. We'll move on to last 5. I had some thought about maybe using last 10 this year, but I think we'll use just last 5. So these will be the last 2 days that we use the year-long numbers. Year-long, Detroit 22nd in pace, 98.22 possessions a game. Charlotte slightly faster, 20th in pace, 98.55 possessions a game. The Pistons are a better team from the field. The Hornets are a better team from 3. Pistons 45.9 from the field, 34.8 from 3, where Charlotte's 43.1 from the field and 36.5% from 3. Let's get into the line history here. For this one, we have a Detroit opening up at +1, and now -2. So they've gone from dog to favorite here, +1 to -2. And when we get into the total, we have a 221. It's -109 to the over. Skunt Blaster on Hornets money line. Jermaine says he gave up the play last week. Paul George under points always and forever this year. So Skunt Blaster here moving on the Hornets money line. Let's get up and make sure I just have the last minute injury news here, because the shoot-arounds have all taken place. It's a pretty good time for us to cap NBA, at the end of shows, because it's right after the shoot-arounds. Another part is I don't mind the market marinating in NBA. I don't feel the need to really get ahead of it too much. Nothing big going on. The big thing is Trey Mann. We need to know if he is going to be in right now. But Bridge is also a game time decision here for Charlotte. So let's see what's going on with Miles. Let's see if he will be in. Questionable here. So he's being downgraded from probable to questionable with right knee soreness. They need him in there. So he could be in. Miles Bridges, which might make me pause. Now, you'd think that if the Pistons go from +1 to -2, that probably Bridges is out. But then that could also be based upon the injury information here from the Pistons. God, Hardaway looked horrific back in business. So Trey Mann is probable to the lower back soreness. So they could have both in the lineup. Justin McKelvey, LaMelo over 27.5 points, -115, coming off being temporarily benched. One thing that's happened is they're getting the decision to bench, their star, LaMelo, has been greeted really positively by people, judging Charles Lee on the decision. It's not like, sometimes you need to push somebody, inspire somebody. And that's why we were on the Colts last week, because they pulled Anthony Richardson out for a couple games. And I can understand the look you have there. Top MF in here on Cade over 15.5 rebounds and assists. Okay, let's talk some X's and O's here, but let's also talk about the cash flow. So we know that it's gone from +1 to -2, and the total has gone from 219.5 up to 221. So we've had a move to the over and a move to the Pistons. 69% of the tickets and 73% of the cash is on the Detroit Pistons. 81% of the tickets and 74% of cash is on the over. Public on the over. Market moving in the over's direction. So here we go. The Pistons had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 122-112 loss at home to the Bulls on Monday. It was a pretty perfect spot. We talked about it on our NFL live stream. I was only on the Bulls first quarter, but it was a very good spot with the Bulls on the second half of the back-to-back after getting destroyed in the first half. Cade Cunningham has led Detroit in scoring 5 of the last 7. He went for 26 against the Bulls. He's averaging 23.2 a game. Tim Hardaway came back for Monday's game. He had set out 3 straight games with a head injury, and Malik Beasley was rolling. Malik Beasley goes back to a bench role. Hardaway went 1 for 10 from the field and 0 of 8 from 3. I'm sure Mavericks fans remember all that very clearly. And Beasley came off the bench, put up 21. Jalen Duren, 22 rebounds on Monday. 12 offensive rebounds were the most for Piston since 2015, March 2015. That's what Jalen Duren is doing right now. The Hornets coming off their second straight loss and 4th in 5 games, 116-115 at Brooklyn on Tuesday. And again, as we talked about, LaMelo Ball didn't play down the stretch. Season low in points and minutes, 12 points, 24 minutes. But I like what Charles Lee's done, and I can understand people thinking he's gone too far in this situation. Charlotte's won its last 3 home games, 2 of them being by 1 point. They're really winning those tight games. And that first game in that streak was a 108-107 victory against Detroit. Miles Bridges went for 27. And up until Tuesday, that was the only time all year that somebody other than LaMelo was the leading scorer for Charlotte. Now, Trey Mann is an important piece of this puzzle, and he's now probable 14.8 points per game. So he's going to be in. Rod Zawacki loving this under. Says bet under the total in Detroit games in the road game where the total is greater than or equal to 220. Says the under's record during the 2025 season 5-0. You know, I am surprised that this move is happening to the Pistons. I guess there's an idea that they're going to not only bounce back from that poor showing against the Bulls, but maybe there's issues in the Charlotte locker room. So maybe it doesn't matter that Trey Mann and Bridges are coming back. Maybe. I mean, Justin McKelvey's thinking that LaMelo's going to dig in and show out. But sometimes, when you get benched and embarrassed, that, you push hard. So Clark Edge, Michigan minus 30.5 the play today. Shout out to our guy Clark Edge. Sorry. Skunt Blaster says Charlotte rolls. I think that the Pistons bounce back. They bounce back from that loss on Monday, and they bounce back against the team that beat them here. Now, does anybody in the world want the Pistons as a road favorite? I mean, the answer is no. Nobody wants them as a road favorite. I do lean there. I don't know if I get there right now, with Cody bullish on Charlotte. I'm interested. I'm very interested. Now, I've been staying off of totals so far this year. I've only bet team totals and a couple unders. I'm trying to stay off, but I can understand, and I've copied and pasted the notes from our guy Rod Zawacki. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, with the Minnesota Timberwolves 8-6, 3-4 on the road at the Toronto Raptors, 3-12, 3-4 at home. We're at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Minnesota is 19th, 98.69 possessions a game. Toronto 14th at 99.76 possessions a game. And MMA locker room, Millsy saying Cade Cunningham over 22.5 points. And Mills prop shop. Wow, I didn't know you gave out 3 touchdowns, because I remember we talked about your 2 touchdown, but 3 is monstrous, Millsy. That's incredible. Wow. I love it. Top MF in here on the Raptors plus 7.5. We also heard earlier that our guy Ron Crawford is on the Toronto plus 7.5 as the spreadsheet play of the day. And shout out to our guy Ron Crawford here. And I know we have the new link. What am I tripping on? Ron Crawford! And I did retweet Ron rocking out with this band, man. He's the real deal. So shout out to our friend Ron Crawford. Let's roll into Timberwolves, Raptors, Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Minnesota shooting. Toronto's shooting the ball better than I expected, but Minnesota's shooting well. 47.5 from the field, 38.2 from 3. Toronto, we're very concerned about the shooting here, but 46.3 from the field and 34% from 3. By the way, Rod Zawacki says Pistons 7-1 on the road to under this year, and the Hornets 5-1 to the under as a dog this year. Joseph Gomez says there are 8s out here. Yes, those are Ron Crawford words being screamed. This total here in Toronto is 225.5. It opened up at 226.5. It got up to 227.5 before this drop to 225.5. So we had a 1-point move towards the under. Get over to the point spread. On the spread here, we do see an 8. There are a couple 8s out there. This opened with Minnesota minus 6.5 and minus 110. Right now they're 8, but it's plus 101. Take a look at the cash flow here. We have 87% of the tickets, 87% cash on the over, yet this is dropping. 34% of the tickets, 32% of cash on the Raptors, 66 and 68 on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves coming off their second straight win, 121-17 at home over the Suns on Sunday. Julius Randle, hit the winning 3, put up 35, and Edwards put up 24. Rudy went for 11 and 10, also blocked 4 shots. Barnes is questionable from the right orbital fracture. He practiced fully on Wednesday. So we'll get a better idea here from whether or not Barnes is going to play. This is just a beaten down team. We expect him to play at this point. And you like to fade the team with their star player coming back, but does anybody want to trust the Minnesota Timberwolves right now? Very difficult to do that. They're not going to overlook the Raptors here. It's just hard to imagine. The Raptors snapped their 7-game losing streak with 130-119 win at home over the Pacers on Monday. They were down. And then they took a lead by 22. They shot 58.5 from the field and 48.3 from three. They're just not going to do that again. Pirtle has just been phenomenal this year, 30 and 15 against the Pacers. He's averaging 30 and 15 over his last 3 games. In those 3 games, he's shooting 71.9% from the field. Just a monster. He's so good. RJ Barrett went for 39. So I think this is the plan here. I'm going to wait for Scotty Barnes to be announced in, and I'm going to fade the Raptors. That's going to be my plan. But the line better move. I don't want an 8. I want a 6.5. Now, again, Scotty Barnes got to be announced in. I got to see the line move, and then I got to make sure that I have the conviction to go up against spreadsheet play today. That's such a monster. Rodswag says, bet against Minnesota after a close win by 3 points or less. Minnesota record since the 2024 season, 1-8 against the spread. Yeah, mean, I've got to decide what trumps that, because I don't expect the Timberwolves to be that sharp here, a Thursday night in Toronto. And none of these teams are on the second or the first of a back-to-back, because we have all the NBA Cup action. What is more important, me fading a team with their star player coming back, or backing a Timberwolves team that I don't really trust here? Yeah, Jermaine, I expect it to go down. Scotty Barnes to be announced in, it to go down. If that doesn't happen, then I probably don't move on it. But that's what I am looking for it to have happen. So there's no move here. I do think that the under is appealing. I just don't. Now, again, the pace is not strong. I don't trust the Raptors to shoot the way they just shot. I also expect Minnesota to overlook Toronto and maybe, not be as efficient as possible. So I think that the under, and I've been trying to stay away from these bets, but I think the under makes a ton of sense here. Toronto will care. They're just not going to shoot the way they just shot. They're just not that type of team. So I think I move on the under now, and I wait for the Scotty Barnes information. Now, again, this doesn't work with the trends. Rodswag says, bet over the total in Darko home games after successfully covering the spread in 2 or more consecutive games. Says the over record is coach of Toronto 6-0. That's after successfully covering the spread in 2 or more straight games. Okay, so that's my plan. Again, it doesn't go with the trend from Rod, so I'm going to sit with it after the show and make sure that. And then I'm trying to stay away from totals. But I like that spot here. We also have a look from Kong's clips. Now, that's not our next game. We have 1 game before that. So let's move on to this. We have 2 games left on our show today. Then we will review all action. And then we race. We turkey race for $50. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern with the Utah Jazz 3-11, 2-6 on the road. San Antonio Spurs 7-8, 6-3 at home. Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas. First off, Devin Vassell and Victor Wembanyama have been ruled out already for this game. So they've already missed 2 straight games. They're about to miss their 3rd straight game. Andrew G saying NBA All-Star game is being completely changed. Well, they got to do something. Skunt Blaster is Spurs Jazz over. With no Wemby in the paint, it can be a little easier. Why don't we take a look at the line history and the cash flow? First off, San Antonio -3, -106. They opened up right exactly at that number, -3, -106. From a total perspective here, we have a 224 and it's -109 to the under. Opened up at 223.5. It's climbed a half point to 224. Let's get to the cash flow for our second to last spot on the board. 74% of the ticket, 63% of the cash is on the San Antonio Spurs, and 86 and 85 is on that over. Any question marks we should figure out right now to here in this one? And there's none. Everybody out. Shohan, Vassell, Wemby out. Kessler out. So the only issue is Clarkson is a game time decision. He's been listed as doubtful. So no Jordan Clarkson. So George, Sexton, Markkanen, Filipowski, and John Collins. And remember, this Utah Jazz bench looked pretty good at one point. I mean, it's just being crushed now with all of the injuries and those guys who are on the bench now having to start. And for the Spurs, Champagny at small forward, Castle at shooting guard, Chris Paul at point guard, Barnes at power forward, and Zach Collins at the 5. This is pretty ugly stuff. Pretty ugly stuff here. And then cash flow, again, 86 and 86 on that over. And on the spread, 27 and 37 on the Jazz. 27-37 on the Jazz in the line not moving. These teams have already played twice as well. But let's start with Utah pace, 12th in the league, 99.93 possessions a game. The Spurs 18th pace, 98.80 possessions a game. Both teams shooting poorly. Utah shooting really poorly. 44.7 from the field and 33.4 from 3. The Spurs shooting 45.9 from the field and 35.7 from 3. Top MF in here on the Chris Paul double. And DC Capper telling us to get in on Nevada. Here I will copy and paste both of those. Thank you guys for sharing that with us. All right, so as I said earlier, these teams have played each other twice already this season. And San Antonio won by 18, Salt Lake City, and then the Jazz won by 1 in San Antonio. So, both teams have won in the opposition barn. Utah comes in off their third straight loss, 124-118 at the Lakers on Tuesday. And this is the final game of a 4-game road trip. Markkanen against the Lakers went for 25 and 8. Sexton 19. John Collins counted George. Jordan Clarkson had 18 each, but Clarkson is not going to be in the lineup here. Spurs come in off snapping their 2-game losing streak with a 110-104 win at home over the Thunder on Tuesday. Who wants them after that performance? Nobody. San Antonio won without Victor Wembanyama and Devin Vassell. That was the second game. So we talk often about backing these teams that first game without their star. And then I want to start fading them. But here we have the Spurs, in their first game without their stars, lose to the Mavericks badly in Dallas. And then they come home and they step up. They step up without their stars. They win 110-104 against Thunder. I mean, isn't this just the exact spot you want? This is the exact spot I want to fade a team. Exactly it. Exactly. They step up. They play way over their head. They beat the Thunder, and they feel great about themselves. Now they have another game without Wemby and Devin Vassell. This is exactly what I want, and that is to back the Jazz here, despite not having the instant offense that Jordan Clarkson provides. I have to get to the window here. I have to fade them after that performance against the Thunder. I have to be on the Jazz. The problem is that going to trump the fact that, you don't have Clarkson and you're ending a 4-game road trip, but they are playing better. And I want to fade the Spurs here. I think that trumps everything for me, honestly. So that's done. I'm moving on the Jazz +3 as soon as the show ends. I don't believe I need to rush that either. Let's just quickly look at that point spread one more time and take a look at a couple different books, but a +3 at -104 means I can get a 3.5 for cheap. This line's just not moving. So I expect to move on the Utah Jazz. No, I don't. I'm betting the Utah Jazz when the show's over. Let's move on to our final spot on the board. We've already heard from Kong's Clips. LeBron, 9 more rebounds, 80, 30+, and he's on the Lakers. Orlando Magic, Los Angeles Lakers here. And Rod's Wacky says, bet on the home team versus money line, revenging a straight-up loss versus an opponent as a home favorite, a marginal losing team playing a losing team since 2021, 24-3. It's a great angle, Rod. It's a great angle. The Rebenga factor is such a great angle. I honestly, and I didn't realize it was that dominant of an angle, and that's such a dominant angle. But it does make me, I still want to fade them after beating the Thunder and feeling so good about themselves. I think that psychologically, that's just going to trump everything. But maybe I'm putting myself in a very poor, vulnerable situation. Let's talk Magic Lakers at crypto.com. Magic just 2-6 on the road. Lakers 7-0 at home, 10-4 on the year. Orlando playing at 25th fastest pace, 98 possessions a game, 44.4 from the field, and just 30.5 from 3. Their 3-point shooting has been very poor. The Lakers 15th in the league in pace, 99.21, shooting 48.3 from the field and 37.4 from 3. They're playing and looking, very strong. Let's get into the line history here. Orlando is a 4.5-point dog. They opened up at 4.5. It got up to 5.5, and it's back at 4.5. That's a surprise to me at a pick'em. You would think that the public's going to come in and bet the Lakers. 86% of the tickets and 81% of cash is on the Lakers. So, I mean, how do you not move on the Magic? Now, the only thing I would think is this line's got to move, doesn't it? Don't you just need to be patient here? I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Davis is out, but he's already listed as probable, dealing with that plantar fasciitis. He's been such a monster this year. We'll go over his numbers. Rui Hachimura, questionable. He does a lot of different things for the Lakers on the court, but God, I would bet this now, but you have to think. Oh, it's a pass for you, Rod. That your angle is so 24-3. Textile says Davis going to smash. Coin on the Lakers, the under 216.5. Orlando on the under bender right now. Let's get into that now. I just think, and I'd love to hear from you guys here in the chat. I mean, wouldn't you expect here that this line's got him, that the Lakers just are going to keep getting bet? Like, how does this go to 4? I mean, doesn't this go to a 5 and 5.5? It's such a crucial number to get the 5. At this market right now, obviously I want the Magic, but I also don't want to disrespect the public hammering the Lakers leading up to the game. God. So we have 90% of tickets and 88% of cash on the over. And Rod sees a 5. Okay. Let me go back here again. I don't see 1-5. You guys, so I don't see 1-5 here with where I'm looking. Markelle on Davis blocks, averaging 3.5 against the Magic. Let's get into the total. Very interesting look for coin to be on the over. This total right now, on the under, excuse me. This total at 216, opened up at 217.5 and has dropped to 216. It's dropped to 216, and all this money's on the over. Oh God, that's appealing. It's just so appealing. Let's just check out a book that's notorious for being first to the market. They opened this up at 219.5. That was at 2:08 p.m. yesterday. God, you want to be sitting on that number, don't you? It took 5 hours and 30 minutes for it to move from 219.5 to 217.5. I'm trying so hard not to bet totals. Trying so hard, but this under is just screaming here. And the Magic. And then I imagine that I will. Okay, bet Rivers has a 5. This will be my plan here. Is I'm not going to bet the Magic here. I've felt like I've been in this situation too often. Part of it is I just want to have my bets in. Like it's almost a laziness thing where I don't want to be sitting there waiting for the right time to move on the Magic. But you just have to when you're going up against the public spot. I mean, if it moves to 4, it would be upsetting, but it's hard to imagine that that's going to happen. So under, and it looks like I'm going to have a pretty big NBA card, but let's talk more about it. Orlando on the second half back-to-back after having their 6-game winning streak snapped last night in the 104-93 loss at the Clippers. So, Orlando had held every team under 100 until the Clippers put up 104. That's with Paolo Banchero out. Wagner is being a monster, 22.3 points per game, reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week. It's just, but the big issue here is also if Wendell Carter Jr. Jr. comes back, he's missed 9 straight. I mean, that's going to change the line a little bit towards the Magic, and it's probably not deserved. Does it deserve to? I mean, how much is he going to play? Okay, so and also Anthony Black. I mean, we're all seeing it. He's stepping up this year, sort of like Kobe White stepped up last year. Went for 17 Wednesday, had 20 against the Suns on Monday. Wendell's out, says Textiles. Okay, let's get over there. Okay, I thought he was. Oh no, where do you have that? I don't have that yet, but I'm sure you have it. But I don't have that yet. I've got 2 sites that I look at. I don't have that yet. Does anybody else have Wendell Carter Jr. out here tonight? Because if that's already been announced, I would love to know that. Because then if that's already been announced, then I think you got to bet the Magic now, because the line didn't move. The Lakers coming off their 6th straight win, 124-118 at home over the Jazz on Tuesday. Dalton Connect, man, Jesus. I mean, what 9 of 12 from 3. 21 of 31 over the last 4 games. This guy went 17th overall. Crazy. And then we talked about AD with the plantar fasciitis. 30.7 points per game, 11.4 boards. Dalton Knecht coming up, scoring 37 points. I mean, I kind of, want to fade that. So, Wendell Carter Jr. was questionable before he was held out on Wednesday. We all thought he was held out to play tonight. Can anybody come in and see if they have a confirmed Wendell Carter Jr. out? Because that makes me think that maybe I should just get in now. I don't think Wendell Clark should change the line much, but if he does, I would be upset. I mean, is Wendell Carter Jr. being announced in going to change the line more than the public hammering the Lakers is going to change the line? Another thing about this it's not like the Magic laid an egg last night. I know that, they lost, but these teams on the second half of back-to-back, especially one with no travel, that lay an egg, come back and win the first quarter over and over and over again. But let's just see, when did they break down? They were up 29, or they were down 29-25. They were down all game. They did nothing in the fourth. The Juice says Connect props even lower today, 12.5 compared to 13.5 the other day when he dropped 37. Oh, I would go against Connect here without a doubt. Without a doubt, I would. After that kind of game, 9 of 12, everyone talking about, everyone loving them. That's like my MO, man. That you're right, the Juice. That's just how much money do I want to have on this basketball game is the question here. Connect's not going to do it again, is he? But it's 4 straight games. It's not like he had one game. I don't know. And the Juice asking if he can sleepwalk to 13. It's a good question, the Juice. It's a really good question. The problem with it is I don't know if you can consider it an outlier anymore because he's been rolling for 4 straight games. So you know what? I'm not going to take Connects under as much as I would like to against a team that defends, well. We have Rod Zwacky on a triple up. Lakers first quarter, first half, and full game. Jermaine saying he's going to get 17 tonight. Triple up for Rod Zwacky. That's dangerous. Well, look, I want the Magic. I want the Magic here, but obviously Rod's triple up makes me uncomfortable. DC Capper on the Lakers money line, and Tech Styles. Can you let us know if that is confirmed? Can anybody let us know if that Wendell Carter is confirmed? I guess we can. You know what? I can research it too while we're racing. So why don't we do that? Why don't we race and see gets paid in our turkey races? Who's going to be $50 richer? And then I will then review all of it. Thank you, Textiles. Then I'll review all action. But I will review NBA before we bring on Jose Bouquet. I'm going to wait on the Timberwolves for Barnes to be announced. But I am going to move on the under. Wait for Barnes. But I am going to move on that under. And then the Jazz. I'm moving on the Jazz at +3. And then I'm going to move on the under in Magic Lakers. And I'm going to wait on the Magic. Okay, Wendell questionable. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think he's going to play. I don't think I should wait on the Magic. I mean, how much is he going to move the line? A half point? I want the 4 to be a win. Yeah, I think he's in, Jermaine. This is not it's not comfortable, these spots that I'm on, but why is the number so low against the Lakers team that's undefeated at home? We have the prime cut in from the Sweaty Butcher. I hope you can join us tonight, Sweaty Butcher. Let me just get this his action in here so we can talk about it before our show here. It's a triple up day for me. We got the Cappers contest at 3 p.m. and then we have our NFL live stream. One thing that I did do, something that's been, I think, hurting me, even though our number, the money, we've been making a lot of money on Fridays, but I've got my worksheet like hammered away for Friday already. I spent a long time on both Thursday and Friday yesterday because I felt like I wasn't putting enough time, and there's not, when the live stream ends on Thursday night, my betting with the bag is in less than 12 hours. It's like 11 and a half hours away. Okay, we're going to race. Let's race some turkeys. Let's bring some levity to the show. This gets pretty intense and pretty heavy because we're, making these bets and dealing with the consequences. The consequences have been glorious until this week. I've been on a great 5-week run. Please welcome my co-host here on Betting with the Bag, star of all things baseball on this channel, and coming to us from San Antonio, Texas, where he just was a big part of the Alamo Card Show. And we have another one coming up. February 1st is the next Alamo Card Show. We're excited. Please welcome my friend, Jose Snips Bouquet. Jose, how are you?
Doing well, Jimmy. We just posted the vlog of the Alamo Card Show. So everyone in between this show and the Cappers Contest show, go check it out. It's live. You guys can learn the origins and why this Caitlin Clark card is so fucking funny to me. But shout out to Caitlin Clark, and let's ride.
Let's ride some turkeys, Jose. Let's ride some turkeys. We are 1 week away from Thanksgiving Thursday, where I will be here all day and night. There'll be no betting with the bag, right? Because there's no other sports, right? Is there any other sports? I don't think so.
We'll figure that out after the show.
But it's all live streams. 3 live streams for me. I'll be here all day live betting with you guys. So we need to get paid. Kelly McKinnon says, what about another poker tournament for us? Jimmy, we're working on the logistics of that right now, Kelly. Just because we've made the move as we've become friends with a bunch of these legal American sports books, and we're moving in that direction. So it's changed things again. But we're working on it. I can promise you that we're working on it. So let's raise some turkeys. How many gold members do we have, Jose?
We have 81 gold members. It's going to be an exciting race here. And everyone loves a gizzard. So it's going to be fun watching them bouncing up and down this racetrack. Good luck to everyone. Rodsy's been on a heater. Can he keep it up? Let us find out today here. Preston Ekdahl, Helga J-Dub, jump out early. We've got Jim doing your Nunya all in the mix here. Jimmy, all in the mix here. And by the way, God bless to all of our friends in the north, because it is snowing like a motherfucker up there. MMA Mad Hatter, Bubba Rito, Gerald Jones, Top Set, all in the mix, Jimmy. What's going to happen here in the last 30 seconds?
Bubba Rito trying to come home with it, but T-Moss making a huge move. T-Moss picks from Dave also up there. George Wood and Ken Wood battling a battle of wood. We have Joey Marinaccio, the Dapper Capper, making a move, but T-Moss has gone to the lead. Can T-Moss come on? Here comes Helga. Here comes Helga. Helga wants to get paid. Helga moving to the front, moving.
Come on, Helga. Come on, Helga.
Helga's falling back. Oh, no. And here comes TJ, our friend, whom we miss dearly, is a champion turkey. I will message him. I haven't talked to TJ in a while and miss him. I will message him.
Well, this would be a great reason to message him.
Yes, I will. $50, Richard, our friend TJ.
Congratulations to TJ.
That's excellent work. Excellent work from TJ.
Jimmy, I'm going to put a college football bet on your radar.
All right. What is it?
UCLA plus 4.5. Weinstein obviously gave it out yesterday. Connor Mack gave it out yesterday as well.
Wow.
You'll like the market in it, and I think you will. If you study it for 5 minutes, you'll immediately be interested.
All right. Thank you for
and
that.
It's not one of those interesteds where you get all the way interested and then at some point you don't find yourself interested at all. It's not one of those. It's not one of those at all. So,
well, we have a huge Cappers Contest show here popping off. I've inspired Blitzer Bobby towards glory. Now in the top 5, Blitzer Bobby.
Yeah, well, suck my dick, Blitzer Bobby. I'm coming for you now. I have to stay in front of your ass too, Blitzer. But he is rolling. Shout out to Blitzer.
He is rolling. I had a 4-1 week as well, but catching nobody. But I am climbing out of that horrific 114 hole. That's impossible. You can't climb out.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm surprised you didn't say anything to Troy, but he said he was chomping yesterday.
Oh, it pissed me off. It pissed me off.
I know. I was like, oh my God.
It just pissed me off. But Bobano uses it all the time too. I mean, look, I know it makes sense. It makes sense. Chomping at the bit, a horse's bit, chomping on it. Look, I get it. It makes sense. But you are building your own language if that's the case. That was never it. You guys just thought, it must mean that. So I'm going to say, Jesus. Yeah, I mean they don't have respect for English literature.
They spit all over it.
Slatsy was an English literature major. So
Oh,
of course he
how
likes
interesting.
champing at the bit. And when you read like New York Times sucks now. It's horrible. But there was a time when it was great, but it sucks now. But when you read like the top essayists, they all say champing at the bit. None of them use chomping because they're not going to create their own language to facilitate their fucking needs.
Doesn't seem like it, no. But I got a good laugh out of that. I'll tell you that.
It doesn't need to make sense.
No,
this
the
all
English
happened
language
way
doesn't.
before you were born. Just go with it. Don't try to make it work for your own fucking lifestyle. Right.
And that's the story of champing at the bit, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, it pisses me off every time I hear someone say chomping.
The disrespect for the English language. By the way, shout out to Slatsy. I can imagine him reading Wuthering Heights right now.
The simping at the bit is nice.
Saturated, I try.
Simping at the bit is nice. Let's review all action here on the show. Thank you guys for rocking with us here. No, I feel you, Nasty Nate. I feel you. Look, you can love English literature and also love hip hop, man. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. Okay, let's review all action. Ron Crawford, NHL play today. He's on the Boston Bruins -1. Now, he bet that before it moved 40 cents with the Corpusalo news. I'm not. He's on Toronto +7.5. He's on UCLA play of the day on Saturday +4.5. And he's on the San Francisco 49ers +2.
It's the zone. It's the zone.
We have Morgan Spooner here. He got his card started today. Let's just go over Morgan Spooner's action here. He got his card started with UIC. I don't think they took care of business. I think James Madison did there. Let me just make sure I see what went down. Then he's got Wright State. He's on FAU money line. By the way, 75-75 in Ohio Middle Tennessee. Drake still up 10. What a colossal domination. UC San Diego, we had our friend Skunkblaster trying to get me on him, up 24-16. And then the early game that's being completed was James Madison 99, UIC 81. Then he's got Central Connecticut State, Oregon State, St. John's, LaSalle, and Jacksonville State. Stacks play today, Florida Atlantic. We're all with them, and VCU -8. So I'm on both. Those are my two moves. I'm riding with Stacks on both my college basketball moves, but I'm going to add to my action. Then Kong's Clips. Pop this in the chat. Kong smash play of the week. Zhang Mingyang and Carlos Yolberg -127. Let's get that here in the chat. Here we go. There we go. Then Slatsy's on the Bruins -1. He's on the Wild money line and Panthers Rangers money line parlay. Crystal Craig's on the Carolina Hurricanes team total over 3. Bobano's on that as well. 9 Legacies on the Avalanche -1.5. Bruins -1.5. Raptors on the spread. Jazz on the spread. Texas Tech on the spread. Oregon State on the spread. And Texas Longhorns on the spread. Kenny Can in NFL. He's got the Pittsburgh Cleveland both to get a field goal in each half +500. Truth Teller. A Russell Wilson passing touchdown mixed with the money line -105. Philly Eagle Flyer on Browns first half team total under 7.5. Oh, that must be first. Yeah, first half team total under 7.5. Full game under 17.5. Philly Eagle Flyer. Barry Rozelle bought the Steelers down to -3. Philly. Oh, there we go. Then we have Bobano on Middle Tennessee +2.5. Drake +10 and the over 143.5. I think that over will be skunked because of. Oh no. It just needs one more. No, he got it. One for the huge high scoring second half. Got it. Bobano on the over 143 in LaSalle, UC San Diego. They're going to need a huge second half there for that to go through. Then our guy, Cody Norton, he's on FAU money line, UC San Diego money line, Oregon State money line, Hornets money line, Red Wings money line, Minnesota Wild money line. Bobano is on Portland +7.5 in the over 146.5. He's on Florida Atlantic +1. I'm on Florida Atlantic money line -110. He's on VCU -6.5 -114. I bet that as well. And DC Capper gave us a bookie buster play today on Nevada -2.5. Dougie Wise on St. John's +2.5. Coin on Miami -9.5. Cleveland +3.5 in NFL. Bobano on the over 155.5 in Syracuse, Texas Longhorns, and Syracuse plus 11.5. He's on Oregon State plus 6.5. We see a lot of cappers on Oregon State plus 6.5. I'm interested in Oregon. I don't know if I get there. I got a lot of work to do still on this card. Lamont Williams hit his max parlay yesterday, and today in NHL he's on Tampa and Florida run line. Then we have Bobano on the Bruins, first period -0.5, full game -130, first period over 1.5, -114. I'm not on that game. I don't trust the Bruins to turn it all around with the coaching change. I think it's left a pretty sour taste in everybody's mouth. Bobano's on the first period over 1.5 and the over 6 in Vegas, Ottawa. He's on Detroit money line. I'm very close to adding Vegas and Detroit on the money line. I just need to sit with it for a bit. Bobano on the first period over 1.5, the over 6 in Carolina, team total over 3 in Carolina, New Jersey. He's on the first period over 1.5, full game over 6 in Colorado, Washington. He's on the light. Oh, I might be on the Lightning -1. I need more time there. He's off of San Jose, St. Louis. I'm on Florida -1.5 plus 110. I think it's the best bet on the board. Bobano's on the Panthers, team total over 3.5 -112, first period -0.5 plus 135. I'm on the Rangers -1 and the under 6, and I'm on the Wild money line and the over 6, and Bobano on the same thing, Wild money line and the over 6. Sweaty Butcher, prime cut, Steelers -3.5. Justin McKelvey on Najee Harris over 80.5 rushing receiving. Wager Detective on the Browns plus 3.5. Troy's on the Steelers money line, the under 44.5. Bobano on Pickens over 55.5 receiving, and I've not moved on the game. Brandon the Great on Njoku, touchdown at plus 300. In college football, I'm going to move on NC State and the Georgia Tech team total under. But it is senior night, and I want to sit with that a little longer. Because I have to go up against Bobano, who's on the Georgia Tech team total over 30.5. So I can sit with that longer. Bobano's on Baylor. Cab's on Baylor first half and full game. We have cappers on the other side of it. Morgan Spooner being one of them. I expect to be on Baylor as well. Cab on Memphis +1. Bobano on San Francisco Dons. I'm very interested in the San Francisco Dons as well. Justin McKelvey's on LaMelo over 27.5 points. Top MF in here is on Cade over 15.5 rebounds and assists. I'm very interested in the Pistons. I'm going to bet this under in Minnesota, Toronto right now, and I'm going to wait for Barnes to be announced in, and then I probably move on the Timberwolves. Top MF in here is also on Chris Paul, double-double. DC Capper wanting us to bet Nevada in college basketball. I'm moving on the Jazz. I'm moving on the Magic, and I'm moving on the under in Orlando, LA Lakers. 10-star play of the day, over 7.5 at plus 220 in Vegas, Ottawa. Rod's Wacky waiting on Vasilevsky to be out, and then a big over bet. It's copied and pasted here. All right, it's going to be a really, really, really fun night tonight. We got all this action all day and all night, and it all culminates in our live stream. But in 47 minutes, we have the Cappers Contest show. Jose, my friend, please join us. Please join us on the who are you talking about, Boika? I'm just copying and pasting Kong's action. I don't use capitals, Bohica. So before you tell me not to yell in the chat, why don't you take a second look and question what the fuck you're doing? Because I was just copying and pasting another Capper's action. So why don't you take a second look in your fucking mirror? Jose, my friend, it was great work. I will see you in the Cappers Contest. Thank you to all in the chat. We have nothing without you. The Sweaty Butcher, a Truth Teller, Saturated, Rod Zawacki, Old E in the house, The Juice, Rez Mob, Billy Friedrich, Kelly McKinnis, Nasty Nate. Thank you guys. The Skunt Blaster. Rod Zawacki was great giving us all this information. Wager Detective, Textiles, Jermaine. Thank you guys. JW, Ron Crawford, Irish King, Markel. We need you guys. It's a members only show, but we really need you guys for our Cappers Contest show. We need to get to 20 votes. We had a 3-2 week, so we're back to 4 games over 500, 29-25. We're in fine position, but we need some big weeks in here starting right now. We need you guys. Saturated says he loves the Steelers tonight. Join us in the Cappers Contest show, and again on our live stream. Jose, my friend, excellent work. I know you've been working your ass off, cutting and putting all these videos together and making us look good, working behind the scenes so hard. Any last words, my friend, for the Cappers supporting the show?
No, shout out to you guys as always, everyone for watching. We appreciate you guys as always. We need a winning week in the Cappers Contest show. So all the members, get up in there. We've got 45 minutes. Eat a Sammy. Go watch the card show video as well. Get a laugh or two in there. and then come in here ready for business for the Cappers Contest show. Till then, let's leche a los bookmakers.